All right, we have John Alite, and we have a special guest, Mike Jacob. Thank you for coming in, or Jacobs?
Jacobs, yes.
Jacobs, okay.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming back again. I appreciate it. You got your big Patreon thing going on, right? You want to talk a little bit? We did that on the first one, but, just go over again.
Well, Patreon's for our special followers and supporters that have a private page with us that we give content that we don't give on my regular podcast. So we'll show videos that aren't out there, Q&As, and different videos that are sent only to my Patreon guys.
Right, and you were saying the first time you were in, you come in here, you got the $8 plan, the $15 plan, $25 plan, and it's patreon.com, Mafia Truth with John Alite, which will be in the description again. And you get videos, right?
Yep.
Never seen before, videos from the social clubs. You get Q&A where they can ask you questions directly.
Correct.
So if somebody's talking shit about you, hypothetically, they can just come and ask you.
Yep.
And you'll give them a full answer. It's not a robot, right?
Live. It's live.
It's live. It's good. So sign up on there. It's not bad. And now if somebody wants to sign up and they don't like it, is there like a whole where you get fucked in the ass 20 times and you can't cancel, or is it easy to cancel?
Easy to cancel, yeah.
So it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah,
If you like it, you can stop watching the bullshit.
Right.
And you can watch real stuff from the social clubs and a guy who's done a lot of interesting things in his career. Yeah. Right, Mike?
Yes. Very interesting.
Mike's seen all the videos.
Yes.
How's the stuff that he's got?
It's good content. It's excellent.
Is it? Okay, good.
You know what we got on there, matter of fact, and your friend will like it. I have a 30-minute interview with Sammy Gravano where he speaks about me for 30 minutes when he first got out of prison is on my Patreon. So it's a 30-minute just exclusive talking about me.
Well, that's interesting. I'm sure he will like that. Anthony! Okay, and then your new book is out, which we went over, and that is the Mafia International.
Correct.
And you can get that at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon. And I know I asked you before, so I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but what made you write Mafia International?
Mafia International, also you can get it on my website. It's a book out of perspective of some other guys. Klaus, that was in prison with me in Brazil, his perspective, we're good friends and since the 90s. And Anthony Ruggiano, his perspective from his father and his eyes of me and the lifestyle as a boss. His father was one of the bosses. And then there's Ronnie Turch, from Philadelphia, and his father was the one-time concierge. He contributes, and a couple other people. So it's an international book and a domestic book about the mafia here in this country and outside of it.
Okay, so and if you didn't see the first one, watch the first one. There's more detail on it. This is his newest book, one of 4 books that you have out, and it's in Barnes & Noble, so you know it's good. But go to his website because you can get it there at johnalite.com, and you can get a nice baseball bat, which I ordered, and hopefully he learns a way to speed up the shipping process. I was just fucking with it, but all his books are there on his website. Make sure you check that out and subscribe and get that. Start with the $8 plan and then go to the $15. Right?
There you go.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're also on TV. And how did they come to you about that show?
For Netflix or for
Netflix?
Netflix, I just did a GQ centerfold thing about 7-8 months ago. I was in 3 or 4 different editions. So when that came out, I got a lot of attention and a lot of people were calling me. I did some other magazines like Vanity Fair and Forbes magazine just recently. And so they called me, asked me if I was interested in doing a couple of parts in different documentaries, reenactments, interviews. And so I've been busy. And I got a new one coming out in September or the end of August. It's On the Run with Brazil and the jails and Escape Brazil, I believe they're calling it. And that should be on Disney Plus and on Nat Geo.
And after you announce that on your podcast, you're going to come here and announce it too, right?
I'll be back here and announce it again.
Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you got all... That was just from that how did GQ get a hold of you?
Well, I probably did about 20 other magazines. I did Society in France. I did a magazine, First Blood, in Amsterdam. I did a magazine in Switzerland. I did some in New York. And so I've done a lot of magazines. Living Magazine, 2 different editions. Hollywood Magazine in the United States. I've been in that genre now for a couple of years of doing different magazines and layouts and stuff like that.
And does Felix reach out to these people? And Felix is your agent or publicist.
Well,
Very nice guy.
Felix kind of controls the people calling us, and he'll book it and stuff like that. So they usually contact us through emails or through the show or through my agent, David, that's in the UK. And so I've a team of people over the years that started helping me out and running things for me. So they reach out to different people. And there's a woman, Katie, that's also involved. So they reach out to her. And at this point, a lot of these companies know each other and they work together, and then they'll recommend me for a job. I'm easy to work with, or they say I am.
Yeah.
So they get in contact.
The networking is what really helps.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I did 60 Minutes sports for legalization of sports gambling, so that also helps. I did a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
A lot of content.
And Mike, how did you meet John, and how long have you known John?
I lived in Ridgewood when I was a kid, and then we moved over to Jamaica Avenue in Woodhaven. And I think I was maybe in 3rd, 4th grade, and started playing baseball in Rich Haven Little League, and that's how I met John. John's dad coached me, and my father and his father were friendly, and that's basically how we met. And kind of kept in touch on and off all the years. And when he got out of jail the last time, that's when we really, kind of connected and became friendly.
Good friend. He's loyal to you, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt, since we're kids.
So last time we touched a little bit on Junior and the whole thing going back and forth. So from beginning to end, how did this issue start where, he's calling you all kinds of names and just it won't stop? But, you were at the guy's wedding. You gave the most money at the wedding,
Well, probably top 95% I did, yeah.
Okay, one of the top people,
Yeah.
at the wedding. So you went to his wedding, you were hanging out with him. So from beginning to end, what really happened? Because I can go online, Mike can go online, and we'll hear 50 different stories. So what led to all this drama?
Well, I think the first time we started hanging around was about when I got stabbed up. We knew each other, we didn't hang out. When I got stabbed up, he was at the scene. So that was about 1981 or 82. So the reign of the Gotti family was probably from around 82, 83, when his father, takes in the position, to 1990 when he goes to prison. In 91, he claims that after that we don't really see each other. He's actually not lying about that. In 91, I go to jail, and they throw a party for me, and that's the famous cake everybody sees. We're up the river, it says, and he bought me a cake, and all the wise guys, everybody was straightened out. We're at the going away party for me. And when I get out of prison, Bobby Borrielli is killed because of the Paul Castellano hit. So that was a big problem for me, because before I left, we knew Bobby might have a problem, and we wanted to take care of it. Me and Bobby did, and Gotti didn't want to give us the okay, and his father was in prison at this time. And when I get out of jail, I'm on a little bit of parole, so I can't really go see him. So he's not really telling the full truth, because I couldn't go see him. I wasn't allowed back in New York. I was living out here in Jersey at the time. And then in 92, I go back to jail. And in 93, I'm off parole, but I catch 2 more cases in 94 and 95. And in 94, my lawyer is Richie Raybach, who was Gotti Sr.'s lawyer, he gave me Richie Raybach to handle my cases, which he handled several cases prior to that. Now, in 94, I'm in trouble, but Gotti's coming to the courthouse after court, and he's meeting with me, a guy, Red Kelly, Richie Raybach, Mike Malone, one of the guys that work with me, Billy Queso. So, all these guys are in company with Gotti and me, and we're discussing my problem with a guy that testifies against me in a drug robbery we did, because Gotti was involved in the robbery years earlier. So we're discussing, and he's concerned about the case, obviously, because it implicates him also in the robbery we did in '89. And about 89, I guess, we did that robbery. So we do meet each other. We do see each other. We're just not best friends. I'm not hanging out with him like I was before. The father's gone. And a lot of guys didn't respect his leadership. So I do work for the Gambino family, obviously. And then in 95, they were asking me to hit him. So, you know, there is meetings. We're trying to set him up. At the same time, I did a lot of damage to some of his friends. He didn't like it. Whether it was in 96, we killed a guy. In 95, I shot one of my own cousins over him. Over Union, he told the guy not to answer me anymore, but I told my cousin, you're answering to me, and I ended up shooting him. We shot another guy, Stevie Newell, that he was protecting, and we baseball batted and stabbed up Joel Kane. You'll show some pictures about him that Gotti had under him. I mean, several guys. Another guy, Johnny, would testify from I batted him, and his uncle, Richie Gotti's son-in-law, we batted and left him on the side of Bell Parkway in Brooklyn. So I was around, but I was around hurting them or shooting them or killing them, and also still working with them. And people always can't understand how does that work. And it works like no different than John Gotti, the father, did to Paul Castellano. He worked for him. He killed him, and he did what he wanted with him because he didn't have respect for him. But at the same time, he still worked for the Gambino family, but on his terms. And so, you know, it's complicated, but the life's complicated. So, you know, when people say, well, you know, you guys had a fall, yeah, we did for a lot of reasons. I just gave you one. But there's other reasons. Greg Ryder at the time went missing, and he died. They killed him badly, and they never found the body. And so I was mad about that. His father did a life sentence for the Gottis, and, you know, I felt like they weren't loyal to the Riders like they should have been. And a couple other things that were going on. So it was a complicated, you know, whole group of reasons why, and we didn't really get along.
Click, and that's just off the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because nothing's that simple to explain. And, you know, before that, obviously, we were together day and night.
Now, with him, why did they want him taken out? Why they go to you and put a hit on Junior?
Well, you know, when Castellano gets hit, so you got one faction of the Gambino family doesn't like the leadership, and they went the other way. But then you got the other faction on the Gotti side that, you know, obviously were back in the play until Gotti went away, and they didn't respect the son. They didn't want him in the position. And there was a lot of internal, you know, obviously fighting going on. And they eventually, the Gotti faction also said, all right, let's get rid of him. So they wanted to get rid of him, and I wasn't on those talks. They just asking me, will you get involved and hit him? Hit him, his uncle, and his brother-in-law, and I said, yeah. And
they wanted all three out.
Yeah, they wanted all three guys at the time. So they wanted all three of them out, and that would have cleared the path for whatever they were trying to do themselves and taking over the family. So that was, obviously a big issue in about 95, 96. Well, I think that I actually talk about in 95 and 96 is actually when they want the hit to go down. And so that was a big part of the problem. And then you got Gas Pipe and the Lucchese family in 92 that was trying to hit Gotti, also the son. And he goes to jail, Gas Pipe, or he would have been hit there. And you had the Genovese family backing it. So you had a lot of people looking to kill him at the same time. And, you know, he's lucky. He squirted through.
Also, I was going to say, like, how did he not get killed?
Well, guys were getting locked up like crazy.
That's
I'm one of them. I got locked up also. I had several cases, and I ended up getting locked up. One of the guys that was setting up the murder for us, he gets killed unrelated to the mob. So he was supposed to be setting things up. And then a couple other guys got pinched, and then they called it off, and they said they straightened it out. I think it was a money payment. And, you know, I'm not privy to that. And from what I understood, the father okayed some things that they were asking for from prison. And, he stepped aside a little bit. And
Almost like a ransom.
yeah, it was almost a ransom to save his son's life. And, listen, it's part of the life. They were trying to kill me, too, plenty of times. So,
Do you think if these guys, including yourself, wouldn't have went to prison, he wouldn't be here right now?
Oh, 100%. He wasn't liked. I mean, guys didn't respect him. They felt that he was privileged. He didn't deserve the position. He didn't respect guys. He didn't know the life. And they wanted him out of the way.
And, Mike, you got to deal with this too. Now, why is he going after you every day, but not like Sammy the Bull? He's picking John Alite, but not Sammy the Bull. So why you?
Well, that's a simple question because anybody with a half a brain would say Sammy Gravano put his father in jail for the rest of his life, right? Whether you agree with Sammy or not, he did. And, he put him away for the rest of his life. So if it's about John Gotti Sr., he goes after Sammy day and night. But if it's about his own ego for me, then he comes after me. So when him or his family are coming after me like this day and night and hit me below the belt, meaning always attacking my kids, always writing something about my mother, involving my brother, and just attacking my family every way below the belt, and I don't do it, I take the high ground, and I haven't attacked his family. And believe me, from his wife on to his whole family, I got a lot of things I can talk about, and I don't do it. So when they hit me personally, everybody's asking me, why don't you do it? Because, his father has another brother also I could talk about that lives in California that nobody talks about, or his sisters that nobody talks about. But I know everything about all of them. So when those punches keep coming below the belt, I'm going to take the gloves off eventually. And I keep saying it, when I take it off, they're going to regret it. So if you want to I've asked on your last show, I said it, and I said it again, stop. We don't get along, we don't like each other, that's fine. Shake hands, see you later. But, he's obsessively, sickly, nuts about chasing me and spending money after me. Now, is it because of my looks? I don't know. Is it because of my popularity? I don't know. Is it because people say I was, dangerous on the street? I don't know. But when you keep calling me day and night and harassing, because this is no other normal words to use for this, you really can't stop it, because what am I going to do? Answer everything he keeps calling me? Everything he says? This is not like once in a while. I'm a nobody, supposedly, and we said this on the last show. You're doing a show on whatever, on guys that cooperated. There's so many bosses out there, so many wild men. Why are you doing it on me? I'm a nobody, you said. I'm nothing. So you guys would be better to explain, why is it about me?
And again, Sammy the Bull is the one who put his own father in prison. Wouldn't you be more mad about somebody put your dad away than some guy you got some beef with on the street, that whoever ratted on who, or whatever you want to call it? I'd be more mad about the guy that put my father in prison for life and fucking died a terrible, slow death.
Yeah, if somebody would ask him.
So I don't understand. I mean, you're John Alite on A-Lead, whichever one, sorry, on TV, and, you're jacked and all that other shit, but you didn't put his fucking dad away for life and then die of throat cancer in solitary confinement.
Right, I can't
Chained
understand.
to a bed, too. Yeah.
Oh,
shit, yeah.
And Junior only did 4 years or 5 years, I think. He hardly did any time. So why isn't he mad at Gravano? Why isn't his sister and himself? I mean, you guys are, outsiders. Can you understand why he's so obsessed with me?
The only thing I can think personally, and, I don't know him, but it's got to be jealousy, envy,
Yes.
and just jealousy, envy, and just hates that, you look at Sammy, and, he's getting older, you know what I mean? And he's in and out, he's started doing his podcast now, but you've been out. You're on, big show. You're on Netflix, man. You got 4 books. You pop up on the History Channel. I saw you pop up on the National Geographic, Vice Channel, Reels TV you're on. So there's skits of you in a lot of things. And with him, it's like he's bald. He's pretty skinny. He's kind of got to hide out, I would think. I think he's got balls moving around the way he is. And what is there really to envy with Sammy? So where's the jealousy with Sammy the Bull? What, you got to hide in Arkansas and sweat your balls off on desert heat?
Right.
You're not looking so great. I hope he's okay. But so the only thing I could think is envy and jealousy. Now, Mike, you're around this all the time. So I mean, why do you think he's attacking him on a daily basis? Because you're with him all the time. And the last time you guys were in, that phone was going off like fucking crazy. I mean, I'm watching, and I had nothing to do with any of this shit. And I'm thinking, wow, man, he's fucking a lot of girls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically.
So, I mean, what's your opinion, Mike?
It's that and a lot of other things too. I mean, I know my dad about 15 years ago got into an argument with a guy that I knew, and he didn't really hurt him, but I wound up going. I finally ran into him, and I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? So if someone killed my father or did something like what happened, I would certainly, not focus on.
Right, but why do you
would
think
try
he
to-
is focusing so much on John?
It's got to be jealousy. I mean, he's always out. He's got a lot of friends. He's got. I mean, on any given night, Bobby Ches could call and say, "Hey, how you doing, John?" Or we can go meet him. Or he knows prosecutors, cop. He knows everybody, and they're all friendly with him, and they all like him, and they're all cordial and respectful, and they really like the guy.
I mean, well, he's certainly taken it
that's
pretty
my-
far
no,
for
I
jealousy and envy.
Well, here's the thing. Think about if you take me out of the picture, right? He's not relevant anymore. Who does he talk about? Because only one person I see him talk about is me, really.
Yeah.
So if I'm out of the picture, how does he stay relevant in any action that involves a street in this genre? He's got none.
So maybe he kind of needs you.
I mean, you got to remember, he did a movie about his father,
Yeah.
and it flopped. He was in control of it. He didn't even know his father good enough to make the people really know his dad. So he's jealous that I know more of his father and what people really know about the father because I got a different outlook of his father. And, and when I talk about the father in a lot of normal, friendly ways, he kind of butchered that. He tried to do a movie on his father and butchered the personality of his father, where everybody said it was the worst movie ever. Now
The
it's
Gotti movie with Travolta
Yes.
that we went over?
right, and it won every award of being the worst movie ever. So now, if you can't project to the people that are watching an icon, because his father was an icon, and you did such a lousy job because you were ahead of that, you were running that project, and butchered that. So obviously you don't have a real insight of the street, not even of your own father. Now me, I do. I have an insight of his father. I do have an insight of everything else. That's why everybody calls me for everything, right? So in his eyes, he's got such hate because he can't relate. And without me, he can't talk about anything else. Does anybody see him doing an interview with anybody? Unless he controls it and says, this is how it's going to be. Here's my storyline. Here's my narrative. Here's this, here's that. If it ain't his narrative, because it's all lies, his narrative. I mean, you guys been through all this already. How many times have we got to go? The Gotti reign was from 1982 or 83. I was around from 81 at the very beginning. His father got made in the late 70s. So from then to 1990, out of his own mouth, I was around till 91, right? After that, I was around, but I wasn't friendly with him. And, I still did business with the Gambino family. I lived with his uncle in jail in 97, 1990. So I am around. I'm doing business with Charles Koenig and still Ronnie Wanham, and I guess you was going to get into that today. But I am around. So I'm there through the whole reign of the Gotti family and then the downfall. So it's not, when he says, well, he was only there in 91, nobody wanted to be around you after that. Your father was gone. Nobody trusted your leadership. Everybody trusted your father's because he was a real street guy. So every time he knocks and he keeps coming after me day and night when you got no life, that means you got nothing to do. But I travel around the world.
So now, through some pictures, who's this here?
This is Ronnie Wanham. He was known to be one of my partners growing up. And he's a captain in the Gambino family. That's myself. And we're leaving Frankie DeChico after he got blown up. After the Paul Castellano hit, they hit him, blew him up. They thought Gotti actually was in a car also. We're leaving the funeral.
And we're going through all these pics to prove what John's saying because pictures don't lie, right? So, I mean, that's why we're going through all these, just to prove a point. And then here you got John, you're on the far left. And then...
That's Vinnie Gotti, John Gotti Sr.'s sister-in-law. That's Camille, her husband's Vinnie Gotti. Next to that's Ronnie Wanham's wife, Nancy, and that's Ronnie Wanham in the back. And we're there christening. I'm christening me and Camille christening his daughter Bliss back in those days.
And then here's you're all jacked up.
Yeah, that's myself, John Gotti Jr. and Joe Kane. Joe Kane gets killed in Kane prison. He was around Gotti in
Oh,
the
really?
mid-'90s. And I had a couple of my guys that lived down here, the Catalanos, that robbed him, stabbed him. And then I went in and we tied him up again, beat him up, and robbed him again. And, there is no answer back from him. So, of course, he's going to hate me. These are his guys, and he's not doing anything about it.
And then we got this one here.
This is, again, me, Joe O'Kane.
This is Junior here, right?
Yep, me in the middle. Yep, and then it's Joe O'Kane there that got killed. And 3 girls that we met, and they're from Ohio. And we met them in Fort Lauderdale, and we were, hanging out with them, drinking, and having a good time.
And then this is a good one here, right, John?
Yeah, this is 1991. Bobby Borriello gets killed a little after this. So it's the first guy's Frankie.
Right here?
Yep, he's a captain in the Gambino family now. He doesn't get along with Junior at all anymore. That's myself. That's little Jackie, Tommy, and sitting down in the chair in the back is Pete Gotti. He just passed away. He was also back and forth with Junior, splitting positions as boss, acting boss. And that's Bobby Borriello standing there that gets killed right after by the Paul Castellano hit, which causes Lucchese and the Genovese family to kill him in front of his house.
Oh, wow. So he got killed right after the...
Well, he got killed in 91, right?
91.
After I go to jail, I'm talking to him from jail back and forth. They hit him in front of his house one day.
In front of his house?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they hit him about 10 times. And I'm very good friends with him at the time. He and me and Junior were together day and night. We're in the, his father put us with Junior. So we were with Junior's crew.
No retaliation from that?
No.
No.
These pictures are rare because this was before social media, and everybody had a camera phone, so somebody had to develop the picture, save them, and here they are.
Yeah,
now
these are
today.
Polaroids, right, Mike?
Yeah,
So, I mean...
it's rare. I mean, this is rare stuff you're seeing.
Because in those days, you didn't take pictures, so they could sit here,
Yeah.
you're a rat, what are you taking pictures for?
Right.
So they're taking pictures because it's an event with me. And
It's a family event,
Right.
basically, right?
That's my brother-in-law standing there.
Right here?
Yeah, he was going to jail at the same time as me. And that's me standing in the white, sitting in the white. Junior next to me. He's the one that bought the cake and had the cake done for us. And this is in Gotti's club on 101st Avenue, Ozone Park. Next to him is Jackie and Tommy. And all these guys end up getting straightened out in my house, in my in-laws' house.
Yeah, you were saying that. They got made. And when John says straight out, it means getting made.
Yeah.
So in that life, you find your way in, and then you start as an associate, soldier, and then you work your way up to when they open the books. And when somebody says open the books, there's so many people that vouch for so many people to go to basically your house.
Right,
And there might be 20 people there, right? And 8 get made.
right.
And now you're made. And when you're made, pretty much nobody can touch you other than, a captain and above. But you still are reporting to whoever. But for people that don't know, that's what John's referring to.
Yeah, right before they get straightened out, Johnny Cannell's adopted son, Kevin, was the one that scanned the house, make sure there was no bugs. We had equipment. And then, we had the ceremony. Actually, I left. I ended up going to jail. They had the ceremony when I wasn't there. But we set it up for...
It's a pretty big deal to have that at your house.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but that just says that you're no little shit.
Yeah.
I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just saying, if you're having people made at your house, I mean, you're not...
Yeah.
I mean, this picture here is my son, Jimmy, in my
Yeah.
arms.
I was telling
His-
strong
His
kids.
first birthday, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's in prison now. Myself holding him. Next to me is Frankie, who's a skipper now. And next to him is John Gotti Jr. This is in my house in Voorhees, so you know the area.
Yeah.
This is a 4-hour ride for these guys to come from Long Island to my house. And the time he's the acting boss.
And the acting boss is coming to your house to see you, who is now just coming at you left and right with paintballs.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into a little bit more than paintballs when you start bringing in the family.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to talk about gangster stuff? Go ahead. He's in gang, you're this, you want to call me that, I'll call you this, call you that. Keep it to the mob. But when you start hitting below the belt and you're talking about other shit, and you want to talk about, I told you, like the stupid things he throws out in the media, he was raped in jail, and, dumb shit like this. This is not, I don't even know who teaches him this stuff. It's really something wrong mentally to be talking like this. But, he wants to get very personal, and then he doesn't want you to say nothing back. But what he does to my family, I can do to his and 10 times worse, and I haven't done it. 10 times worse. And, my brother knows that. And these discussions that we had over the years, that I keep stopping myself from doing it. And I keep saying, if these threats keep coming and these talks, it's only going to happen one way. It's going to happen the other way too. It's that these days we're not shooting. So if we were, it would be a little different story. Nobody would put up with this. And, so he's banking on that. And this is why he's playing these games. These pictures are one after another, like Michael said, when you don't have cameras in these days.
Yeah, so it's not like everybody's walking around with an iPhone or a Samsung phone and it's just like this. I mean, you have to lug the fucking camera, take it in there, hope that it comes out right. And
Who took this picture?
I think this was a media picture. This is Steve in front, nice guy, always like Steve. Myself, Vicky Gotti's behind me, and her husband's behind her. There's several of these pictures where his mother's and Gotti's mother's also coming out in the house. They'll show me in that. With his little brother coming out of his house and his other sister Angel. So these are coming out of Gotti Sr.'s house. So when people are saying, these crazy things like the Gotti say, they lie so often and they're just so crazy lies. I don't want anybody believes them about anything they say because they lie. That's right, Gotti Sr.'s house.
and there was just 4 other pictures prior to that they drove 4 hours to your house holding your son. I mean, you're holding your son, but with your son,
Well, I've shown other pictures, and Michael knows, of me in Vicky Gotti's wedding party. Yeah. So the father's got to approve that. And then there's videos of me at the Ravenite. The father's got to approve me being there. The videos we just put up. There was 2 or 3 that are up. And then there is me at John Gotti Jr.'s wedding. That the father's approving the list. There's 100,000 gangsters from families across the country. What am I doing there? Which you said just earlier, I was probably one of the biggest guys with a gift.
Yeah, you had a picture of the list of all the names, and you were at the top.
Yeah, and all those lists are everywhere. I mean, because he got caught with it in his basement.
Yeah.
So, every law enforcement has it, every newspaper has it. There's not a secret list. Yeah. And the amounts are there.
Yeah, and you gave, on the list, you were the highest, 5.
Yeah.
5K.
Not 500, by by the way.
No, and it was back, in 1989, 90 when he got married.
So that would be almost probably fucking 15 grand now.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah, easy.
Not more.
Yeah.
So that was a very generous.
Pretty good for a junkie and a broke guy, right?
Right. If you're junkie or broke, maybe I'll take that. You can call me that. Yeah. Let me throw around 15K.
I should have waited to get married.
I hear a lot of guys say that.
Well, yeah.
Mike's just kidding.
Yes.
You don't want to get killed when you get home.
Let's say that.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so this one, what's going on here, John?
We just left the Ravenite Club, the place everybody said I wasn't at, and we put the videos
club,
up.
Right?
Right. And John Gotti's on trial, the father. And me and his son are going to pick him up at the courthouse. And we're in front of the courthouse, and they're searching because they thought I had a gun on me, which I did, but I ended up leaving it next door in the club before we came to pick him up at court. So they pull us over. There's cameras all over us. All the police are surrounding us. And they're looking for the gun I had. So somebody ratted, said I had the gun. They didn't know I left it next door at the candy store at the Ravenite.
But they said you were never at the Ravenite, right?
Right. And they said I wasn't ever at the courthouse. Here I am.
I don't know. If you could Photoshop a picture from 1986 or whatever the hell this one was, you're pretty damn good. I'll hire you.
Yeah.
And that's you, right?
Yeah, that's me. And that's when they first grab us.
And that's Junior.
That's a Junior.
Right there. So, I mean, yeah, you can't Photoshop.
Now there's me with a searching me. He's on the other end of the car you showed earlier. And this is me in front of the courthouse. And they're grabbing us both and taking us out of the car. This is my ex-wife, Carol, and myself at the Helmsley Palace at Gotti's wedding, Junior Gotti's wedding, on the approval of his father of that wedding list, with every boss and gangster from around the country there. And it only fit about 300 or 350 people tops. And how many maid members in each family? Maybe 150, 200. Smaller family, Columbus family, maybe 100. And then you got the associates, and then you got bosses and all the other families, the Alfred in Chicago, the Cavalcanti family in Jersey. You know, so you got so many other crews, the
So
Philadelphia mob.
So it's probably 300 out of 3,000. I would say, right?
Yeah, well,
Roughly.
3,000 made and whatever. But
Like that would have a shot,
Right.
but only 300 get it.
right.
And you were
Sure, and
one of those.
there's probably
300
100,000 associates and gangsters
that are
you know.
dying to get that okay, right?
So, you know, I'm here. And my same thing with mine. I think I showed you another show. His signature is my best man at my wedding a year before his, or 6 months before, whatever it was.
I mean, this just goes to show how close, not close, but how things were at one time.
Well, the lying on his end is just so crazy. So anything he says about me, how does anybody believe anything?
Well,
I mean, just completely out lying. You're manipulating all the facts. You're changing paperwork. You're changing videos. You're changing audios. You're meshing words with other audios, and you're putting them together. You're recording people. He tape recorded my brother. My brother was playing him. He was playing him. But then not only did you tape record him, that's a rat move to do. That's how your father went to jail on tape record. You're supposed to be a gangster. You're tape recording people, and then you're cutting the tapes to justify what you need it to be said, so it fits the narrative that you want. I mean, who does that?
and Mike and John, do you know how much of a pain in the ass that is to do? You know, because it's just like editing like a video like this. I mean, it's no easy thing to take one little bit and mix it with another little bit and another. I don't care if he pays somebody to do it or not.
Well, he's paying, but he doesn't care. He's paying.
But okay.
He
He's paying to have something manipulated for you. And again, it doesn't make any fucking sense because you're not the one who took out his dad, basically.
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
And he never got.
I tried to protect his dad.
Yeah. And on the last one, all you had was nice things to say about him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense to me. And this is John. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well, they have a website right now. I guess they're working on a project, and in the opening, whatever monologue that they have on the site, they actually admit to sending paperwork in on John to get him violated when he was on parole. This is they're admitting it. So well, I mean, what is that? What is that?
What would you call that?
Ratting, I think. Right?
I mean,
They called the police, his guy, Casparosa, and said that I was involved in serial killer of a woman. And the police wrote him back and said, sorry, we checked into it. He wasn't even living in the state at the time. He was somewhere else. It's already verified. It has nothing to do with it. But the point is, what kind of crazy moves are these? To lie to this extent, to manipulate tapes, to manipulate paperwork, to tape record my brother when my brother was actually playing him. They were playing each other. So when they'll take things about my brother said and they'll leave out the other things, or they'll change his text messages and use those. But then my brother has things to prove, and then he went out and he challenged them. He says, if that's true, come sit with me on any show. He goes, and we'll do this. But my brother said it too. He goes, what kind of man that knew his father died from getting caught on tape recordings, tape records people, and then in his 302’s, what kind of man buys a jail, is trying to buy a jail to put us guys in prison?
okay, now explain that. I know you did on the last one. Explain what a 302 is, and then go in to explain how he went to buy a jail to put people in prison. We're talking about John Gotti Jr.
Yeah.
Buy a jail.
Yes. and his own words, not mine, so everybody can read them.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, he makes a deal with politicians to go partners with them to buy a prison to help put gangsters in jail so they die and suffer in prison like his father did, and he profits off a private jail. So he wanted an open jail, the Bronx House of Detention, like we have MCC, Manhattan House of Detention, Manhattan Correctional Facility. And then you have the Brooklyn MDC. He wanted to do the same thing. And in his own documents, he admits he was trying to open this. This, to me, is the worst thing he's ever done. And it got the least publicity because you're tape recording people, you're changing documents, you're lying, and you're trying to get people to go to jail, and then you're proffering with a government. And again, forget about what I'm doing. Let's forget about me. Let's take me out of the equation. Let me move out of the equation. I'm not the boss's son. I'm not the acting boss. Actually, I'm not even Italian. So you're the Italian guy. You're the boss. You're the boss's son. And you're the guy tape recording people. You're the guy changing documents. You're the guy that's putting tapes together and cutting them until they fit what you like. You're the guy that's going to open up a prison. There's something wrong with this picture. So instead of going after, if you want to be that gangster and you claim you're this gangster, you did 4 years or whatever the hell you did, I'll say it again. What are you so angry at me for? Your father died in jail on his spit. I cared more about him than you do because, look, you left him. You're not attacking the guys that put him there. Nobody. You're not doing anything physically because you're not a gangster. But if you were, you would have did something. But look what you're doing. And then you're trying to make movies about me? Why me? If you can explain why me. Because why? Because I'm a rat? How many rats do you know? What are you making them about me? I'm not a boss. I'm not Joe Messina. I'm not Al Diaco. I'm not Whitey Bulger. I'm not Greg Scarpa. I'm not Ralph Natali. I'm not any of these guys. So why aren't you writing stories about Frank Salemi, these big-time gangster bosses? If I'm a nobody, junkie, lowlife, what's the idea? What is your bent obsession with trying to ruin my life and my family's life?
Do you think it's because he knows you would have hit him? That there was a hit out on him, and there was a good possibility that you would have been the one to pull the trigger?
But there was a marching parade, not just me, of guys who were trying to. So why don't you bother and arrest them?
That are in,
yeah,
right?
Right. Well, there's guys who can't stand them. Danny Marino was one of the acting bosses over the years. How come you don't say nothing about him? How come you're not doing it? And if you're such a gangster, why'd you run out of Howard Beach? They chased you out of there. You're not in Howard Beach anymore, but I go there every day. So if you want to be that guy, then walk that walk. Stop talking that talk. So he just talks it. So, you want to talk like a child about anything, sexual escapades, because he likes to talk about that. Man, I could tell some stories, and I haven't started yet. And man, I could tell stories when he was with me, and I haven't started yet. And I could talk about a lot of things, about everything, and I haven't started yet. So if that man opens that door one more time with me, and I already had this discussion with my whole family, he better duck for cover for his whole family, because then I'm going to take these gloves off finally, because I'm up to here with this guy just harassing me day and night. So, everybody asks, well, how do you let go a guy who's got all kinds of money to just constantly try to get you locked up, constantly try to pay people to take you to jail, constantly paying people to say they heard me try to kill him and I was in talks, all crazy nonsense. A guy that reported me and said I was selling drugs, a guy that says that I was hanging out with a pedophile, a guy that says a pedophile wrote my book in jail. This is all crazy, like child. How he's not embarrassed of this child behavior. And it doesn't matter. This is 2021. Let's clarify something. If I want to go in a room and have sex with 100 people, that's my business. What do you care what I'm doing? What are you so jealous? You want to come join me, or you're mad because you can't join me like you used to? Because he used to.
Yeah.
Oh, is he going to act like he didn't? He stay with me every day. I says, so when a guy's talking this craziness, I can do so much worse myself, but I'm trying not to do that. I'm the street guy, and him, I don't know what he is. Because just what I said, your poor father died by guys tape recording him, and you're tape recording people. You're running around with a microphone telling people you're a crime fighter. You're the guy trying to buy a prison to put street guys in jail.
Now, with that, okay, in that life, how does anybody, okay, if anybody, whether you're in the La Cosa Nostra, the Mafia, whatever you want to call it, right? How does anybody, if their father dies in prison, whether you're a gangster or a normal citizen, how the fuck do you even think of buying a prison, being that your father died in it? I mean, you don't got to be a gangster to not want to ever even consider that, being that your dad died. Can you explain that one?
No, I don't. No, I would. No, it makes no sense.
To get off parole or probation or to get leniency?
I'm going to tell you why. They have no identity without living off the father's name but not really caring about him. Because if you really care about the father, you wouldn't do any of this. He would chop their heads off if they knew they were doing this. But the father said it from jail. He has strangers and other families writing him Christmas cards and letters, and the people that supposed to be his family did nothing for him. So now they're pretending they love the father so much because they need him to use him to get what they want. But they don't really care about him. Not at all. They don't care about him because their actions speak loudest.
Well, remember Growing Up Gotti came out, right? And he was he was still
Yeah,
alive then,
yeah.
and that show made a killing.
Yeah, yeah,
And it certainly wasn't the show.
yeah,
It was the name.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
I don't think it was flattering either.
I mean, the young girls liked it, and they thought the one was John. I think he's boxing or he's MMA now or something.
Yeah,
he seems like an alright dude.
Here's another thing. I talk about all my kids, right? And he's always abusing my kids, and he blamed
That's fucked
some of this on his mother. He said his mother was doing it. See, that I'll tell you something. I'll leave one little tidbit, and I'll stop it at that. When he was playing my brother was playing him. And he even ratted his mother out and said, it ain't me that's doing it. You could tell your brother it ain't me. It's my mother that's doing it. He blamed his own mother.
I highly doubt that any mother's doing that.
Yeah. So there's crazy. So that he's saying. So this is just to show you that he thinks he's smart, but my brother's smarter. So when he when he thinks he's playing my brother actually played him. And that's just one little tidbit. But I got a lot more. But the thing is, at this point, when does it stop? We said this the last time I was with you. When does it stop? What is he looking for? I mean,
how long has this been going on for?
Shit's got to be near 10 years now.
Oh, this has been nonstop for 10 years?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow, I didn't know that.
So what does he want? What does he want me to do? How do you stop him? So when people say, well, you guys are going back. No, we're not going back and forth. He won't stop. So the idea is exactly what you said. Out of all the people that I've talked to, all the interviews and journalists, you're the first guy that actually said, why is he taking it out on me? Why isn't he taking it out on Sammy? He's the one, or his whole family, should be harassing him, right? Why are you harassing me and not the guy that killed your father?
Who only killed 2 people, you said.
Yeah, I don't know the exact count. But, we can have Anthony ask him.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I'm sure he would love to.
But, the thing is why, right? But I think we figured out on the last show when Rob was here that he says if he doesn't speak about you, he has nothing to speak about. He's not doing shows like me all over. He's not doing anything. His project centered around me, actually.
Yeah. He did make a good point.
Yeah. Without me, why would you put me in it? Think about it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not the boss of the Genovese family. I'm not the boss of the Colombo family. I'm not the boss of the Lucchese family. I'm not the boss of Philadelphia. So why are you doing movies about me? Why am I the center of attention? He needs to explain why he's so obsessed with me.
And Mike, from your perspective, you think it's just pure jealousy and basically what Rob said yesterday, that he's got no momentum himself really, so he's got to use somebody else. And who's the hottest ticket right now from that life that's willing to come out and talk? And really, you didn't really do anything. When I say didn't do anything, when we get to, when I ask you again about Carneglia and we finish up with John, I think with the people watching this that think you're a rat, you don't know the whole fucking story. And not only are we going to talk about it today a little bit more, but we have evidence of things that happened that, would contradict a shit ton of shit that you see online, wherever, newspaper. And I wanted to make a point that he probably used your name before so that it would, because it's the Gotti name, well, even though it's bullshit and he manipulates the tapes about your family, your mom, your mom, your kids, your brother, the whole nine, manipulates them. Then it says Gotti. Now it's in the New York Times, New York Post. Even though it's bullshit, they got the tape, right? Yeah. And Gotti, it holds weight. They know the newspaper is going to take it because, people are going to read it. So what,
He did an interview with Value Entertainment. It's almost like 6.7.
Yeah, you're almost at 7 million with Patrick David.
So he's relevant. After the movie bombed, the name just kind of fell off. Everything just stopped. So in order to keep their name in the media and relevant, they're dragging him into it now because if you had all his videos up, it's got to be 20 million views. I don't know, maybe more.
Oh yeah.
But what guy wastes? He said it himself. I think he said he spent $7,000 or $10,000 on investigators to go to Brazil, and for what's your purpose? You know how sick this is? Does he has a sick obsession with me? I don't know. Maybe the time he was in bed with me, I mean, he really loved me. I don't know. Because it's just crazy that he won't stop this.
Yeah.
Who would spend? I wouldn't spend $1 doing this to chase after him. Not
Yeah.
$1. So why are you spending all this money against me? For what purpose? You know, he's got all these people on YouTube. Everybody knows this, right? Everybody knows he gets them all, and he's got to. For what purpose? We can settle this, like I said the other day on the last show we did. Okay? You're right. How about this? You're right. So now tell me why you ratted. Forget about what I did. Tell me why you don't bother Sammy. Tell me why you never helped your sisters when they were getting beat up. Tell me why you didn't help your sister when the husband had a whole nother family. You can't
Repeat that again. He didn't help his sister when she was getting beat up.
by her husband.
Would you help your sister if you had a sister? I don't know if you do. I'm sorry, but
yes.
Would you help?
100%.
I
So
know we would.
So now we know why. I mean, I did. It's
Yeah,
you know,
right.
they testified against me for John Gotti that I was beaten, that I baseball batted him for going to my sister's house. The other guy I shot up because he slapped my sister.
See, even if I was going to cooperate against you, I wouldn't have brought that up because I'm with you on that. That's your family. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't, and
But
it's
so I would never bring that up. Like, God forbid I ever did that, which I wouldn't. But if I did, I wouldn't bring her anything with your family. It's the gangster shit.
right. But he gets off the gangster shit because he knows he's full of shit.
Yeah.
So you know he's on video. He can't even say he said that. He's on video talking about my mother, saying that she called his office, right? So what am I going to do? Hire an investigator to prove that he's the one calling? He's the one that was tape recording my brother and taking his text messages and changing them. And my brother was trying to play him, which I just gave a tidbit of what he did with his mother.
That's
He
a
blamed his
bitch to
mother.
do that text.
So, and there's so much more I can show you and talk about that I haven't, because I haven't done what he done. And even when it came to his sister, and I'll clear the air, I've always spoke respectful of his sister, Vicky. Not disrespectful. I says, and whatever, you know, they want to take it, or the media or anybody else. We were kids, whatever was whatever, and I leave it at that. But if they open doors the way they keep doing, I can go a whole different direction if this doesn't continue, if this doesn't stop, and they're going to force me, because everybody knows I'm not going to lay down and let them just keep attacking me, and I never have. So he needs to say to himself, what is wrong with me mentally that I won't leave this guy alone? What is wrong with my family? Because I don't see his sister. All she does is harass my family. So, all friends. Matter of fact, if she even knew you were talking to me, she starts harassing you. Like little kids, they contact people and say, well, why are you talking to him? Don't talk to me if you talk to him. There's some sick obsession with them that somebody can take a photo and chop it and put somebody else to make me look, or take a document and say, look, he was ratting. Look at this document. Or look, he lied. He said he shot 2 people. Here he said it was 10 people. First off, who cares if it's 2, 10? Why are they so obsessed to know what the number is?
I would think after one. I mean, I asked.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
asked when we did our last one just because of all the different numbers.
Yeah.
But after one, what does it? I mean,
Well, there's too many guys that know. I mean, we're in how many pictures? There's another picture. We're
Yeah.
coming out of the court. This is matter of fact.
this is 89.
Yeah, 89 is, and this is coming out of the courthouse. We were involved in some nonsense, and we were always on video and audio, and you know they were following us, the cameras. So how many pictures do you need to be in?
So this is Junior here, right?
Yeah,
And then
that's myself, and that's the guy Steve. Nice guy. He was involved with Junior, I think, today with some business.
what did he get on this one?
We didn't get any time. They backed out of the case. It was we had a fight with 4 cops. He actually wasn't even in the fight. Steve was, I was, and a couple other guys.
See, now he's going after you right now, and you just set the record straight about that he wasn't involved in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean that shows that you're mature, right? Because the guy's going after your family, but you still
Right.
are man enough to say, right, hey, he didn't do that job. Now, anybody else would have been like, whether he did it or not, after the shit he's doing to you, would have been like, yeah, he did it, even if you knew he didn't do it. But see what you just did right here? So why doesn't he just fucking make peace? Like, sit down, have fucking pizza.
He don't even have to sit down, just stop the nonsense.
Yeah.
But he won't. That's what I said. He says he doesn't stop. This is in the middle of the picture is Mikey Scars, DiLeonardo.
Okay.
Captain, John Gotti Jr. says is his right-hand man, his best friend. Okay. If you read through all his 302’s, everything that Gotti says about me, he calls Gotti a liar. He said I'm involved in everything. Gotti tries to change paperwork and say I was a rat in 1991, right? 1991, he's got this thing. I started a rat. I was chased because I was a rat, but he didn't want to kill me. This is his whole story. His captain, his right-hand man, in his 302 documents say that Gotti's lying. Said that he told him in 1994 or 1995, I don't remember the exact year, that Gotti said, Alite will never rat. He'll never be a rat. So he just lies and manipulates paperwork. He manipulates things. It's so crazy. Why?
And how does somebody get a 302? Say somebody watching this just really wants to say.
A lawyer, that's public knowledge because Michael Scars took a stand plenty of times. So all they got to do is get a lawyer for a couple $100 and ask for his paperwork. All they got is my trial in Tampa, and when I wasn't there, absentee. All somebody does is get a lawyer and say, I want this guy's paperwork, that, and you'll see how many people they say. Forget about what I think will say. See how many people they say that I butchered and shot and stabbed and everything else. And it ain't an important number to me. But you'll see everybody blamed everything on me.
So whoever's watching this that ends up pulling it, I want a point. John gets 2 points. Me and Mike will take 1 point on that. We want 1 point on the kick. Because they'll get 100,000 views in a second. You know what I mean? So we all won in this because we just told you how to get it.
Yeah.
Right?
So, these guys, and he has a ton of other 302s that say, I'm an enforcer for them. I'm the guy that was around trying to bribe jurors for his uncle's case and his father's case. He says all this. I was there in the meetings in 92 when we were talking. I think it was 92 when they tried to hit Sliwa, that we had discussions and when they wanted to hit Curtis Sliwa. Me and Mike didn't want to do it. But he puts me there and says, Johnny Alite's there.
Yeah.
So, the problem is who has the time to be bothered with all this? But if somebody out here that's listening, go get it. Go get his 302s. Go get Ronnie One-Arm's 302s. Go get Greg De Palma's 302s. Go get Fat Dom's 302s. He's another guy that, ended up cooperating, and he used to have a gambling game in Staten Island that me and Gotti and Bobby Borriello would be there every day. Not every day, every week, but usually Tuesday nights. And he'd stay all night gambling. These guys all got 302s saying, Alite was here, Alite was there, Alite was there. No one cares. So at the one point, I don't care. No one cares. What is your point? It's just a so sick obsession.
And on top of that, while he's bashing your family, you're doing nothing but compliment John Gotti Sr.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time you were here, you had nothing but great things to say. This time, while we set up, we talked a little bit. Nothing bad to say. Now, you could be an asshole and be like, do the same thing he's doing, right?
Well, listen, we all get beat up. We all get shot. We all get stabbed. It's part of the life. You know what happened to you. So that's part of it. Gotti Sr. got beat up in jail. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And I hammered at the Gottis for this because they were fucking speaking badly about me when someone sucker punched me. So I'm saying, you want to talk? Okay, how about when your father got his teeth knocked out? But not that I mean it badly to the father. The father was an older guy. He was a young guy.
It happens to everybody.
But the thing is, the guy came home that did that to his father.
Right.
So instead of bothering with me with emails and texts and all this nonsense, why don't you go take care of that?
Why don't you go knock his teeth out?
Right? Or worse.
Or worse.
That's your father. You kidding me? He did nothing. Absolutely nothing. When we butchered his brother-in-law on the side of Bell Parkway, he did absolutely nothing.
Junior's brother-in-law, you butchered it?
Oh, we butchered it. It's his uncle, Richie Gotti's son-in-law. And by the way, my cousin, Patsy, went out with Junior's first cousin for 6 years, Richie Gotti's daughter, for 6 years.
Right.
We're all intertwined.
Yeah.
Families, everything.
You think there's any incest in there?
Oh, there's a lot of incest.
I'm just fucking.
Yeah, I know. But what's the point here? Like, what are you trying to do?
I can't figure it out. I don't know, man. I've seen this happen to other people in other ways. I know Anthony's going through it with him and fucking his Sammy shit, and again, I've seen Anthony's shit, and he just harasses and it's not Anthony, it's his people, his clan that follows Sammy the Bull, and they just they just bury
they hammer Anthony. I know they do.
But and the reason why I have Anthony,
but
he's not lying.
No, he's not lying. He's a nice guy. He was a tough guy. He's and condolences to his wife passing away, but he's a real guy. One thing you could say about him. Here's the thing: when I try to talk honest, like him or dislike him, he talks straight.
Yeah.
There's no bullshit with him. He just talks.
Yeah.
So you got to like him for it, really.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like these guys, Anthony's 100% right. Why do they talk all full of shit? Just be real. And if you don't like me, you don't like me. They're allowed to not like me. I don't have no problem with that. They're allowed to call me a liar if they want. Go ahead. But I don't know where, they don't say specifically where's the problem.
Right.
Because, if you're going to lie and say I was only with you until 1991, actually you're telling the truth. But you forgot to leave the most important part out. Your reign was only from 81, 82, really 83 to 1990, and I was there for the whole run with your father. No one's saying I want to be with you, and everybody knows I got real busy against them in the mid-90s. And, and they never contested one thing I did to them. So is that what you're mad at, that you never contested it? Recently, I just challenged him in a boxing ring. You don't want to do it that way with me. So, I don't know what else I can do at this point.
What about the mall? The mall?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
What happened at the mall?
I mean, listen, this is all goes on. This is nonstop.
Yeah. Get the next one here. And that's you. Is this right around Brazil?
This is Brazil in 2003 and a half, about.
And not Anthony. John did 2 years. Around 2 years.
No, I did around 3 years.
Around 3.
Because we're gonna. No,
I don't want to fuck you if I say 2
2
months.
years, 7 months exactly.
Okay, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's safe, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody can say you're lying about that, right? Because it's past the 6, like
Yeah.
2 years and 6 months. And so, I mean, and that's the worst jail in the world. You think
But they said I got raped there in that jail. Now there's 10 guys around the prison system was with me. This is the nonsense kid shit.
Yeah.
And they'll play a tape or something and they'll say, well, he got raped. Listen to him talk. Instead of being men and saying, listen, we're trying to get to a mental institute. All of us were, because we knew we on the bus, on the way, was ways for us to escape. But they play, listen, it doesn't matter even if it happened. How about that? I'm the most straightforward the way I talk than anybody. So even if it happened, so the fuck what? But it didn't. But even if it did, I tell everybody, what kind of girly shit is this? What are you thinking? What are you talking like this for?
Yeah, it's really like two girls. Well, you're not really hitting back too much.
No,
you're
I'm
just
not.
kind of throwing facts, but it's like a little girl fight type of thing.
Yeah.
You know that they just keep going back and forth and hold grudges forever.
That's why I don't know how to stop it. How do you stop it?
Mike, how does he stop it? Don't ask me.
What's your
They're
opinion?
hoping he would go away.
Well, he's
that's
not
not
going
gonna-
to.
it's not gonna
If
happen.
it's been 10 years, he's not going to go away.
Because his reputation was being soiled, so he's going to set the record straight. That's what he's doing.
The only way it's going to stop is if he gets pinched with something.
Did you see any place, you can be honest, is there
Yeah.
some place that you think is not accurate here?
No.
No, honestly.
No, I would
So,
tell you. I would tell you. I consider you a friend,
Yeah.
and I've.
Well, they'll say that you're only saying that because you're a friend now, because
no.
you said that.
Well, they're going to say that I'm kissing your ass
Right.
and that I'm blowing smoke up your ass, and I'm not. What are you gonna do? Shoot me here?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Wow. Another one?
Right.
Yeah. You gonna hit me with a bat?
Yeah.
Because I'm being honest. Well, if I think something isn't right, I'll say, I don't think so. But just from what you had said on the first interview, it all kind of added up because we didn't just. It wasn't just like, oh, well, Junior's saying this and that. It was explained, and now today we have all kinds of paperwork and pictures, and I don't see any way to deny what you're saying. I see a way that, he's extremely envious of you and jealous of you, and I don't know why, and I can't get two things out of my mind just so far in a half an hour. One being that he was involved in buying jails when his dad died. That just that fucks me up. Two, he doesn't go after Sammy, who basically, let's just call it straight. Sammy killed his dad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's who I would think he would go after. And then somebody fucks with, a guy messes with a woman in your family and you do nothing. Those three things,
Well, how about tape recording people?
what the fuck? Why there's so much shit that.
What is what kind of you actually the most famous or one of the most famous gangsters ever? His son. I could never do injustice to his father ever. What this guy's doing to his reputation and his legacy ever. This is so crazy what he's talking about.
And the two worst words in that life, correct me if I'm wrong, is record and police.
Yeah.
You never call the police and you never record.
Well, and if you go on his site, everybody can listen. He's talking about my family, my children, my mother. He's talking about recording. He's talking about calling the police on me and admitted it. The whole family wrote to the judges and everybody else to get me live. And prosecutors. He paid for an attorney for a guy to sue me. He said that he heard me talking about killing him in Atlantic City. This is all facts. This is not like, I'm saying, he offered my brother $15,000 to set me up because he thought my brother was going against me, and my brother came back and said, be careful, this is what he's trying to do. Then he went on TV saying I'm involved in insurance fraud, drugs again, construction fraud. I mean, this is crazy. So what's your agenda? Now, like when he hears this, he'll just do something again, hire more people, come up with more fake tapes, make some more fake videos. This is what he does. This is not a man, and he's begging for me because he doesn't really, and what I got sidetracked earlier, he don't even talk about his other kids. He only talks about the kid that fights MMA. You know why? Because it boosts his ego. Everything's about him, narcissistic. He doesn't care about his wife, because if he did, he'd worry about what was going to come out of my mouth if this continues. And if he doesn't like it, he ain't no tough guy to come see me. So I'm saying it politely over and over again. It will come out of my mouth, things he has no idea about. And I could talk about his sister-in-law, and I could talk about a lot of other people in his family the same way that he talks about mine. And I can have a lot more to say. And his mother-in-law, I got a lot I can say. I haven't even said anything. Like I said, about his uncle in California, his aunts, and that his father's sister. I got a lot. His mother.
I can tell you're dying to...
Oh, I'm dying to release it because this ain't going to continue. And I've been asking as a gentleman, and I've been saying it for years, and it continue. But now this is going to be the final straw. Today's interview, and after that, I'm going to do a series every day on personal stuff because you're doing it to my family and me.
So you'll take one day, and you'll do one thing.
Right.
Until it ends.
And listen, I can make a ton of money doing it, and I haven't done it. You know how many offers I had from different very wealthy companies that asked me to do this? And I haven't done it. Also a book, and I haven't done it.
In
Just
other words,
on
you're
this.
not talking about YouTube. You're talking about companies.
Companies.
Yeah.
And a book. And they're asking me to do this.
I'd recommend for him just to calm down, or maybe he just needs some therapy.
Oh, he needs therapy. He needs therapy because there is no... If you really wanted to do
lithium.
If you really wanted to do a project, the project would be legit.
Yeah.
It would be, this project is just based off of me. I mean, right?
Yeah, he's trying to veil it as other things, but it's really, we all know what it is. It's centered about him. It's going to be exposing all these, whatever, these fake.
You know what the other shame is? If things weren't the way that you and him are, if you just cut it, let some time go by, you two could make a lot of money together.
Mm-hmm. Well, we tried that. He didn't want to do that. We tried to ask him to do talk. Listen, it's not just me he don't talk to. His best friend, Mikey Scars, right? He went near his kid. He went near his son. He's done every rotten thing that you're not supposed to do as a man to other people. And he was close to Mikey. They were best friends. I wasn't. When I came home, I was talking to him. I don't talk to him anymore. No big deal. But I don't bash the guy. But the rest of us, everybody talks to each other, don't talk to each other, doesn't matter. You don't got to like each other, but no one does this. Only he does it.
You know what else I think Mike might be? John's a businessman. I've noticed that. He's a businessman. I mean, obviously you are because, you got your books and shit. But being around you for multiple hours, you're a businessman. You know how to make deals. You know how to talk to people. You know how to sell shit. So... I'm sure he's hating on that too. But what little that he doesn't know is, you're done with the bullshit. You don't want any part of that life. And it's a disgrace that you got to deal with this shit pulling you when you're trying to do the right thing and help kids and do all this. And then you got this, I don't give a fuck. You got this fucking asshole, okay, fucking with your family. I'm not okay with that.
No, you know what the problem is?
It's one thing with you. He wants to run after you, whatever, fuck it. Me personally, I just ignore it if I was done with that life. But once you start hitting my family, my mom, my kids, my brother, all deals are off then. And I could see yourself being mature and trying everything you can, and I'm not kissing your ass, to try to just end this, whether it's a conversation, a sit down, or just stop it. And another disgrace is if he wouldn't be like that, and you guys could say, look, fuck it. We had our problems. Let's do business. You guys would make millions together.
I'm going to say it again. He ain't man enough.
I
The guys that try to kill me, serious guys.
I know.
I talk to. Serious guys. They did a lot of work. I talk to them. So I don't just talk bullshit. I live by what I'm saying. Guys that testified against me, I go to dinner with. And I'm just done with it. Guys that are my enemies that are on the street that are active, I try to say hello, goodbye, and that's it. Right? But he's the only one that does it with anybody. He's that insecure. So this is not about, why doesn't he talk to Mikey Scars? They were best friends. What happened? Why don't you make up with the guy? Why don't you go to dinner with the guy? What's your deal? You're not accepted by the mob guys in the street. We all know that. So stop that nonsense because everybody calls you a rat. Doesn't matter if you don't want to believe yourself that you were or isn't. This is not even important either. What's important is it's over for you with the street. So what are you trying to do here? What are you taping people for? What are you trying to open jails for? What the hell? What are you thinking? Did you lose your brain that much?
Now you were in one of the 5 families in New York, right?
Yeah.
You know the Gambino, right? How can anybody respect him? I mean, do the May guys, the captains, the skippers, whatever? Do they know all this shit?
Yeah,
they're aware of all this shit.
He's blackballed. Nobody's allowed to talk to him. He's shelved.
What
So
position
he's
is he
chased.
now?
No, nothing. He's chased. They're supposed to kill him. He's chased. They're not killing, but there's an order of that's it. If you talk to him, you get hurt. So they're not allowed. Nobody's allowed to talk.
So he's not.
No, nothing.
He's nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody's kicking.
No, nothing. No.
Well, at least they read the fucking paperwork.
Yeah. So the problem is, where does he want to go with it? Does because we have kids. You're trying to do something to hurt my kids or embarrass my kids, then I'm going to make sure that it's going to happen to the same way on your side.
It's going to be an even playing field.
Yeah, it's not going to go one way, and if he thinks it's gonna, he's got to forget it. Because if I start talking, trust me, he's going to end up getting divorced. So he should just shut up.
I've been asking him for a long time about this, and I'm surprised actually he's saying this because he always just squashed it. He wouldn't talk about it and just say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, John said 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So
Close to it. He'll call me a lie for that. Let's see, it's 2013 to now. It's almost 2000, whatever we are, 21 and a half, 22. So, yeah, 9 years.
how long have you seen it been going on for?
5-6 years.
But he didn't only do it to me.
Right.
So, he's done this to other guys before me. Curtis Lewa, he did it to other people besides Curtis Lewa. This is what he does. This is not man behavior. Men don't act like this. And as an ex-gangster and the father of the boss, John Gotti, who died believing in his life, he's got to be so crazy if he can see what he's doing with these tapes and these jails and these actions. This is not of a man. This is sick. This is completely compulsively sick.
Were you there for all of Senior's trials?
Yeah, it was around for everything. We were trying to bribe them all. And forget about how I'm a liar. Let's say they say, go get the 302’s for Mike Scars. Because he says I'm there trying to, get involved and trying to
Swing the jury.
Swing the juries on all these trials. Of course I was there. And, I had one of the lead detectives that was one of the guys that worked with me, that did a murder with me, did things, drug deal, bookmaking. He was giving us information, helping us also to, try to get to these jobs.
On all, he beat 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
And then the 4. Do you think that he would have beat the last one if Sammy didn't cooperate?
No, I think they had him.
They had
all
him.
those tapes.
The tapes just killed him, right?
Yeah, I think he.
And that was at the Ravenite.
Yeah,
right.
at the Ravenite. Yeah.
Ravenite, sorry.
Yeah, upstairs.
Well, maybe it's because you look like that.
I mean, yeah, listen,
How much do you weigh right there, John?
about 170, 175.
Really?
Yeah.
You look like 205. What do you think? If you didn't know, what would you say you weighed? He's lean though,
195, 190.
and he's
Yeah.
not flexing abs right there. That's just. Are you flexing right there, John?
No, I got pictures when I got real good abs, and that one I don't.
That
And,
fucking
yeah.
chest.
Yeah, and I
I did push-ups. This week.
push-ups, pull-ups, dips.
I did.
I used to run every day on the beach. Everybody knew I was in the gym day and night. I'm in boxing. And I told you, they said when I was in Brazil, I was fighting. I was a great jiu-jitsu fight. I left. I stunk. I trained a little bit. I learned a couple of things, and that's about it.
I'll tell you a funny story just to calm you. With the heat. I had a couple of jiu-jitsu guys in here, just really like I had the world champion in Michael Cohen,
Right.
and soaking wet, 90 pounds, and then we were playing some of his shit. Listen, me and you might be able to box and win with our hands. This little shit.
Oh, I know.
Now, if we don't have something else, that that little 90 will take us down because we'll take our legs.
Yeah, take your legs right away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been around jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai in Brazil for a while, so I seen it all, and I got a lot of respect for those sports because I didn't know about them that much until I was there. So then I learned. Now my friends are all involved in it, and I stay with a lot of guys in UFC, MMA, and I travel a little bit with them, hang out with them, and these guys can fight. So when somebody has delusion, they're tough guys, and then you get around these guys. Come on, you see, it's a new world.
Nicest guy ever. Nicest guy. He was very respectful, and he came in with the belt because he had just won the belt. We put it up, and I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Because he's really little. But then I saw the video. I was like, damn. Yeah, I don't want none of that. Not today.
That's a nonstop. You could do that for 2 hours.
Yeah. What they do with that is they fight, and to win the championship, you like me and John do the jiu-jitsu. Now I beat you. Right after that, I got to fight you because you just fought somebody else, and then you win. So you're doing 2 matches back to back. Getting your head knocked in. Now we have the PDF here of explain what we're about to go.
Well, let me tell you something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gotti Jr. stays with a guy named Stevie Dopes right now. He's about 6'7", big harmless guy, right? Even that's a lie. He didn't know Stevie Dopes. He met him through me. So when even that part of his life is a lie. He's not living anything that's real. These are all. He lived, kind of through me, I guess. Even his friend. If somebody would ask him, well, how'd you meet this guy? Because he worked for me and stayed with me and his brother Jeff and another guy, Jimmy, who was a partner, who had a half a ear at the time. And I had a service that I was involved later on, me and Junior. But these were my guys that stayed with him. Even that's a lie. So when people say to him, I laugh. He recruits these guys because they go for him. They're yes men. And, they just, they're dummies. And they got no respect. So he doesn't respect them. He could treat them the way they are, the way they want. It fits his ego because he's a big guy, big harmless dummy. He ain't doing nothing anyway. So, people say, well, I see this guy. I mean, if you seen him and you had a problem, you'll rock him. But this is the problem. He doesn't want to have just a normal, regular life. He doesn't know he doesn't know where he fits in. So I think the thing is, he just doesn't have identity. And without me being in this picture, think about it. Where does he go?
Nowhere.
Who else can he talk about? Where is he going to go do? He can't. There's nowhere to go.
Well, you're the hot ticket right now.
Even if I wasn't, there's nowhere. If I was not the hot ticket, he would still have to stay obsessed here.
But I'm saying, like, you're Gambino.
Yeah.
He's Gambino. You're the hot ticket in the Gambino, so he goes for you.
Yeah, I mean, on one of his interviews recently, he said somewhere, I don't know, he only killed and shot junkies. All right, so say that's true. Even let's say that's true. I'm not going to defend anything he says. Okay, so now what's your point? What's your point? You're in the drug business, and when we get to the PDF, he can't deny what his captain said Ronnie won on, right? Because Ronnie won on all through his PDF. The 302’s and his opening statement was not 302’s. His opening statement in Ronnie Wonham's own voice says Gotti and Alite are drug partners. No, I didn't say that. His captain said it.
His captain.
His captain.
Okay, so before we get to the PDF, paint the picture. Okay, so what is John Jr.'s take on this? Before we get to the PDF, because you can't, it's the PDF.
Right.
Okay, it's the case. Because we're going to contradict what he's saying. What is he saying in summary? And then we're going to pull that up and go through particular parts of it to contradict it.
He doesn't say anything. He tries to avoid it. He doesn't want to even see it because he doesn't want to recognize it because then it doesn't fit his narrative.
Well, there's that answer.
Yeah. And there is no denying it because it's Ronnie Wonham's own voice in his own opening statement in a Tampa trial that says, 14 times, Gotti and Alite are partners. They're the ones that were partners the whole time. So how do you, you know,
Just so people don't can understand, why did Ronnie give his own opening statement and his lawyer didn't?
his lawyer said he wasn't going to be around that day.
He had another trial, I think, in New York. And
Yeah.
he was tied up, and the judge wouldn't issue a continuance, so they forced him. So the lawyer gave him permission, and he gave his own open statement in his, I guess, a
Wow.
RICO trial, right?
Yeah, he could have used another attorney. He didn't want
But
to.
he did it himself.
He wanted to do it himself.
Wow. That's
And-
kind of crazy.
Crazy. And it wasn't the brightest opening statement anyway.
So you're going to go up against a RICO case by yourself?
On that, just the opening
I
statement.
don't care what
Yeah.
it is. You know what I mean? That's a little nuts.
Well, his plan, I guess, was to say it's Johnny Alite, and he says it. And when we go through his opening statement, he's going to say the foundation's built on Johnny Alite and John Gotti Jr. We're partners.
You know what this is like? It's like Trump, right? Like, you don't see this shit in the news,
Right.
right? But when you type in John Alite, boom, this, that, the other. But you type in John Gotti Jr., you don't see this. No.
Well, because the art of war, I talked about it in the last show,
Santanzu.
is to divert from the subject and try to get me to defend another thing.
Correct.
And I don't do that. See, because I know what the subject is him, either this stuff, and you're not going to divert me into, some nonsense that you always try to divert. And this is his game. And his narrative is to switch things up, switching bait, and he doesn't have to answer this stuff. He tries to make you answer to his bullshit. And I'm too smart for that. And the difference is maybe it's frustrated because what you said earlier is, why are you wasting your time or your family on me? Your father didn't die because of me. Why isn't his mother, his sister, and everybody else attacking the man that had your father die on his own spit in jail? What are you attacking me?
And from my opinion, it sounds like you probably protected his father more than his own son did. So you would think then, even with that, he would respect you even more, regardless of the bullshit.
He's got the narrative that his father didn't know me, right? So I think we fixed that because
I think we just fixed that right there. You're walking out of his house.
I'm at court with him, right, picking him up. I'm in his son's wedding that you can't be in unless he approves it.
And what, did he not go to the wedding?
Yeah. I'm at Frankie DeChico's funeral. I'm at his daughter's wedding party. I'm in.
We showed it all.
Yeah, I mean, so this and then the videos of me at the Ravenite 3 times, and the going away party at his other club, his brother's club, Richie Gotti's, at the going away party with the cake. So I think at this point,
we're pretty far along.
pretty well that he knows me.
And if you get the Patreon, you're going to put out the videos?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure you get that Patreon. Link will be in the description. All right, so we'll get to the PDF, and we'll go through that a little bit. So right here is the beginning. So, John, I'll let you take it, or Mike.
If you can scroll to the top of that.
Yes, sir.
I'll keep going. Okay, right there. October 18th, 2006. So for the people that want to know where I am, well, everybody's going to trial. I'm in a Brazil penitentiary.
And that can be, you can look that up and find it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting raped in a Brazilian penitentiary.
Oh,
just so you know.
That was the narrative.
And maybe it wasn't that bad, actually. Who knows?
So now here he's talking, right here. He says, is there something wrong with that? I scratched my head. Okay, John Alite and John Gotti Jr. started a drug business. Okay, this is where we're building the foundation
Okay.
of what you just said. I want you to read it.
Okay, let me start up top before
Sure.
that. In 1984, which I can't understand why I'm here, it was Johnny Alite and John Gotti Jr. That's where the indictment started. Our indictment started all the way back from 1984. At the beginning pictures that you see of us when we're younger in Florida is when the indictment actually started, our RICO case, all the way till 2006.
Jesus.
So we had a 20, 25-year indictment. Plus, when they're talking during the trials, they're bringing it back even before that to 1981 when I got stabbed up and battered and stuff because Gotti was there.
They knew everything.
Yeah, and they left me, by the way, in the street. So
Nice.
Ronnie One-Arm saying Johnny Alite and John Gotti are partners forever. And this is the foundation of our multi-million-dollar drug business that he's saying he has nothing to do with John Gotti Jr. But that's his captain saying he does.
And explain exactly what a captain is in the mafia.
In the mafia, you have associates, you have made men, and then you have captains who the made men and associates answer to under their skipper, which is a captain. Ronnie One-Arm is a skipper who is working directly for the boss and the acting boss, which is John Gotti Sr., John Gotti Jr. So he answers to them. Don't answer to me. He didn't make that statement with me. He made it about John Gotti Jr. and me. So that's his captain that works for him saying we're in the drug business together.
And this is a court document.
Court
Now-
document, his own words, not a lawyer's words. Ronnie One-Arm, the captain's.
And the next line is they started the drug business, meaning Alite and Jr.
Yeah, go ahead, John. You want to read that? They started the drug business. They worked in the drug business. Now, all of a sudden, I come in. I'm hands-on. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've been followed almost every day of my life by the FBI. I know them by first-name basis almost. But I'm going to kill these names. Go ahead, John.
Well, the most important part is they all say the same thing. I know that, and he writes, they're going to show you a lot of pictures and stuff. Yes, I did know Johnny Alite. But in the life, you know people, they go their way and I go mine. So now he's separating himself from me and John Gotti Jr., saying we're the partners. I paid for my crimes. What happened? Maybe because they couldn't get John Gotti in New York, they wanted to add me in on this indictment. But the most important part is under that. And do you know what? You want to know something? The truth of the matter is, Johnny Alite is a thug. Johnny Alite, there was a falling out with. I said, Johnny Alite's a thug. So the next thing about me is, this is a captain saying, I'm partners with John Gotti, the boss. And he has nothing to do with it. And that there was a falling out with Gotti and me later on. Because this trial's 2006. But he calls me a thug. Now, Mike, you're around long enough with everybody. What is that supposed to mean, I'm a thug?
I mean, if a captain, because everybody in that life is dangerous to begin with, but if a captain is saying that you're a thug or you're dangerous, that means he's very concerned. You're, very out of control. You're a loose cannon,
And he says these things. The next line is, John Alite went to jail. In jail, he met people from Philadelphia, Atlantic City, started hanging out with the New Jersey mob, and then he came to Florida. So this is a captain now who is saying, right? I'm friends with the Philly guys. I'm friends with the Jersey mob. I'm friends with the Florida mob.
Yeah.
Now, in Florida, it was Terry Scaglione and his grandfather, Terry's grandfather was a made guy with the Gambino family. Did I have involvement? Yes. He was on trial here, too. So they're partners with me. Who was involved with the Trafficanis, by the way, who some of the distant cousins testified against me. So you have major people.
Trafficanis from Donnie Brasco?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And then you have the Philadelphia guys who I know. Yeah. A lot of these guys were my friends. And then you had the Jersey, the Cavalcanti family guys that were my friends. Now, these are the captains. John Gotti's guy, again, that's saying these are all my friends and my involvement with. I didn't say it. He's saying it. John Gotti's captain said it.
And again, I repeat, this is court document. The case number was right at the top. You can just type it in and you can find it. And then it says he stole all the businesses from every person. You think he would have gave me a penny? He didn't give me a quarter, not a penny, not one red cent. Not one red cent did I get. And I swear that on my other arm that I should lose the use of it. Not one red cent. Doesn't look like he's too happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that's why this is what this is all about.
Yeah, and then it goes on here.
You got to remember something too. If you hold up, my lawyer is Richie Raybach, back in the '90s. So this is John Gotti Sr.'s attorney. He gives them to me because I'm close with him, and because he wants to follow your life, to make sure you're not a rat.
So you had John Gotti Sr., the Daper Dawn,
right?
You had his lawyer,
Richie Raybach. So
you can't deny that, right?
Right. So if you're a rat, they know.
Right.
Okay. So that's my lawyer. So I'm using the guys they want me to use, the guy who's helping me. So Richie Raybach's my attorney. So when all this stuff is going on, Richie Raybach's my attorney in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, because I'm in jail in these years. And then when I get out, we're still in contact. So there is no cooperation on my end, and they know it. So when they keep lying one thing to the other thing to the other thing, and you have these documents by captains that work for the Gottis. Don't people understand now, if we do it this way so they can see through everything, how much they're lying and manipulating?
And correct me if I'm wrong. If what Junior is saying is true, John Gotti Sr.'s lawyer would never work with you.
No.
No, they'd kill me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So right there, right then and there. And you didn't just have him once or
Right.
twice. What do you have? 4 times, you said.
Yeah, I used them on all my cases.
So he's not just working with anybody.
No.
Okay. And then here's page 9 of the whole transcript about the friends.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there was a friendship with Alite. That's gone. It's over with. He said, we were friends and it's over with. So now he's distancing himself from me, called me a loose cannon, a rogue, and a thug. So he's saying he's afraid of me. I'm violent. I took everybody's business. And he didn't want nothing to do with me. And there's no way a guy like me is going to give him $1.
Right.
Or penny, he said, actually.
Or red cent.
Yeah. And then he does what everybody says. There's surveillance everywhere. There's this. If I was involved, you'd see me in surveillance.
Yeah.
He's right. That's why we got all these pictures with everybody in surveillance at the Ravenite, because they got surveillance on all of us. So all this is exactly what they're saying is true. That's what they're all doing in videos and photos with me.
And now here's the most damning part, I think, of all of it. And this is when he calls you a loose cannon. We're just going through with this.
Getting back to the foundation of the house, John Alite and John Gotti Jr. was the foundation. The question to ask is why? Am I bigger than John Gotti Jr.? No. John Gotti Jr. was the boss of the family. His father was the boss before him. So you think John Gotti Jr. is going to do anything for me? Nobody does anything for nobody. Here we go. John Alite is a rogue. He was a loose cannon. And when I see that, I broke away from him. I didn't become an enemy, but I still wasn't his friend.
Okay, and what's a rogue?
Not controllable.
Uncontrollable. Somebody that's not controlled. Somebody that's too wild. Somebody that is these guys are having difficulty with, and they're afraid to fuck with me, or I'm going to kill them.
A dangerous
A
person.
dangerous person to them. Now, again, that's John Gotti's captain making all these statements, and again, attaching me to John Gotti Jr. In other words, I'm his loose cannon. I'm his rogue. I'm his guy. I'm his enforcer.
Senior knows that if he contacts you, it's going to get done.
Exactly.
And then he goes on to say there's a careful line you got to walk when you're in the street because there's enough enemies out there. So say, hello, yeah, nice to you, see you, good.
So he's saying he's got to be nice to me because he's afraid I'll end up killing him.
Yeah. And then page 16, we get into that, and this is more about the foundation of the drugs.
And on line number 7, and there's a few witnesses that are going to come here that's still with Johnny Alite. They were young kids. I'm going to tell you my relationship with Johnny Alite, with them and how it started. Now, the reason why he's throwing the young kids on the bus is because they're all on trial for several murders, and he's trying to say they're attached to me, not him. And they're my guys. Again, they're showing the violence around my guys and me, and not on him. And then he puts it, and he goes into the history of my cousin, who dated John Gotti Jr., he says, and he also dated him. And John Gotti Jr. wasn't happy that he was dating Ronnie One-Arm, and Ronnie says he didn't know that she was dating John Gotti Jr. Now, that same cousin had a son, and her son was dating Richie Gotti, his daughter for 6 years, Danielle. Richie Gotti, the brother of John Gotti Sr. So my family's attached, not only to the Gambino family, to the Gotti family directly, and relationships, long-term relationships with John Gotti, with John Gotti Jr., and with Richie Gotti's daughter. 6 years, and the relationship with Ronnie One-Arm and John Gotti Jr., my cousin, the girl cousin, was, 5 years. So now they're throwing all the weight back on me on all the murders. And again, that's a captain doing the talking here, not me.
The captain.
The captain.
With Junior.
Yes.
Okay. And then it goes on to say, I said, listen, there's no problem dating her. If I would have known, I wouldn't bother. He says, no, all right. And that's how we became a little friendly. Every time I see Patty Boy and Mike Malone, I used to tell them, did you get a job yet? Why don't you get a job? The street life is over. What are you doing? Go get a job.
Now, the reason why he's saying that is because we kill. Some of the murders that we do are some of Gotti's friends and some of the shootings. So they're putting those murders on my guys. He's detaching himself from John Gotti Jr. And he's attaching me and John Gotti Jr. to all the murders and all the drug dealing.
Which contradicts what Junior is saying about you publicly and
No.
whatever else, right?
Right now. Yeah.
Right now, right,
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah. Now, this is saying he's working, obviously, with me in 2006.
Right. Read this.
So this is important because
Yeah.
Gotti's saying 91, we're finished. We're not finished.
No.
You know, we're just not friendly.
Right.
You know? And that's the mob, the treachery back and forth.
Yeah. So here it goes on. You might want to read this part. There's
So John Alite and John Gotti Jr. started it. So that's back to the foundation. Why am I here? All these people committed all these crimes in New York. People arrested, went to jail, did 7, 8, 10, 15 years for it. Why wasn't I? So he's putting all the murders, all the violence, all the robberies back on us. Again, John Gotti Jr.'s captain is putting it on me.
everything back on you.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, and if they say that they have no surveillance on me, Kenneth McCabe took more pictures of me than they took of that their baby that was just born, Jolie, every day. I told them I wanted to buy the film to give them. This way I'll make a few dollars. It's ridiculous. They're saying there's nothing to prove that, but they'll show you some pictures. What the hell is he talking about?
I don't know.
I
He's basically saying there's no photos, and he's just basically he's trying to say it's John Gotti Jr. and me, and there's no photos with him.
And I'm sure he didn't like that. And then here we have Vinny.
Well, here he's blaming, there's a bunch of tough kids, young guns, they used to call him, and he's blaming Vinny Asara and saying that these guys were around Vinny Asara, who was a captain in the Bonanno family involved with the Danza heist. He just recently passed away. So Ronnie one of them is basically saying these are Vinny's guys, not mine. And these guys are all killers and guys that did a lot of armed robberies, tough kids.
So now that he sees, I mean, we just went through, half of the 25 pages, and there's more to this, right?
Yeah.
This is just part of it. And again, when you watch this, all you got to do is, go to google.com, and the case number's right here. So it's not like we photoshopped this or anything like that.
I got this from the court reporter for the trial.
Oh, did you?
He sent it to me in my email. This is directly from the transcript.
So, yeah, so this is direct. I mean, it's long. But, I mean, John's all over it.
Well,
contradicting what you're saying.
John Gotti Jr.'s captain says 14 times, I believe, in this 25 pages that me and John Gotti are partners in the drug business. Also says I am the enforcer. I'm the thug, the loose cannon, the rogue, and I'm the guy that was taking everybody's business from everywhere. Also says that I'm hooked up with the Philadelphia guys. I'm friendly with the Jersey guys and the Florida mob. So that's a captain saying this, ain't me. So when everybody wants to call everybody a liar, well, call him the liar then. Call John Gotti Jr.'s captain the liar, and then tell me why he's doing it. Why did he blame John Gotti Jr. and me?
In a fantasy world, this would be the end of it because he got his shit out. Now you have this. You can't deny a fucking court document, and it's not like it's a little guy that got paid on the side of the road that got.
No, it cost somebody $100 to get these paperwork.
No, but what I'm saying is the person saying this, it's not like he's a little associate trying to move up. We're talking about a captain.
Right.
The next step is boss,
Yeah.
underboss.
And a very powerful captain in my neighborhood.
So it's not like just a captain, a higher up captain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he's not just going to say that, I would think.
And by the way, his son became a captain also.
Wow.
So, this is and very friendly with the Philadelphia mob at one time.
Yeah. So, like you said, what do you do at this
I
point?
believe that was part of the lies they said he was saying, that he didn't really was not associated with the Philly mob. And here it is. It's like
It's in there. It
telling
says
you.
Florida, Jersey.
That's where he went.
We know New York.
Yeah, that's where he went.
Philly. Yeah. I mean, it's right there in
What
black
else
and
can you
white.
say? I mean, it's
Now,
And Ronnie Turch, whose father was a concierge, who gets killed later on, and Gons and these guys were all good friends of mine, and he did a chapter in my book in Mafia International by Lou Romano and myself. So, there's another, so it's not me talking about this stuff. And then you got Fat Andy Ruggiano's son, Anthony Ruggiano, whose father was the boss, who does a chapter in my book also. And he does a lot of shows. And he says, listen, Johnny Alite is who he is. Now, it doesn't matter to me if anybody believes me. The point is, I really don't care who believes me, who doesn't. How do you stop this guy from this nonsense day and night?
Again, I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's either going to be jail or the hard way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any other way because he's been doing it for 10 years and it's just progressive.
What do you think his obsession is besides jealousy and envious? What is he trying to do?
I think it's like Rob said the last time you were here, like Mike had said. I think that who's he going to get traction off of? Okay, the name's kind of worn out. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's still Gotti. You got the growing up Gotti that made a shit ton of money. You got the Gotti. I think Victoria did some type of makeup line or something, right? I mean, you can only run with that so much. And now that Gotti.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah,
if Vicky was a man, if she was a man, the father would have definitely had her in charge. And I'm not saying this because of any other reason. She's 10 times smarter than the rest of them. She seems
pretty bright.
She is a lot smarter than them. And I think somewhere in the back it's still her family, so she's got to have to stick up for them. Because of whatever was said with me and her, she had to, I guess, say what she said. And, and I try not to get into that because we were kids at the time anyway. But she's got to know he's a complete nut moron. She's not stupid. And at this point, if he continues, I don't know what his game is. I really don't. What does he care? Whatever I'm doing, whatever it is, if I'm not the one that put your father away, why are you keep coming after me?
That does not make any sense.
And when you have these guys all, and that's just one of his captains. How about Mikey Scars, the other captain, made all kinds of 302’s, also saying basically what Ronnie One-Arm saying and much, much more because he did a lot of testifying. And John says, Gotti Jr. says, that's my right-hand man. So that captain says, if somebody wants to get the paperwork, is, Alite'll never rat. And then he's trying to lie and change paperwork that he thought I was a rat in 1991 and all these other years he tries to come up with. But you got 302’s with his other captain, who he says was his best right-hand man.
To my knowledge, I don't think you're allowed to edit a federal document.
No, and they edit and they put it on their own pages.
If I did that.
Yeah, you go to jail.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the first time, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, that anybody ever actually dissected this kind of stuff. And
that you're doing right
point
now.
by point. This has never been done before. So,
well, I appreciate you guys sharing it with me.
Yeah.
I'm
it's cool.
just some guy.
Bits and pieces and the little pieces, just dissect their story and whatever they say, it's not true.
Well, I hate to see it because, I know what you're capable of. You know what I mean? And I know you're trying to do the right thing, and you got so much going for you right now. And excuse me, but, this fucking bullshit, I mean, this can just set you back. You know what I mean? And it comes to a point when it comes to the family, your balls are tight. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I hate to see it because I can tell, like, you're just done. Like, you always say it, the last time. I don't care. Okay, yeah, I'm gay. I took a cock in my ass. I did the. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care about anything.
I know, like, yourself.
Right.
And as we had said, the last one, when you were doing all these things, you didn't love yourself.
Right.
Now you love yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You found a way to love yourself, therapy, everything else. And now you got to deal with this shit. So it's like you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to help kids. You're making money other ways. Of course, it's not the street money. We both know that.
Right.
I'm close and way much harder work and headaches.
Yes.
But, you're with them all the time. But now you got this angle coming at you,
Well, I think he sees that I'm always having a good time. I mean, this country or that country, I'm always with a bunch of friends.
And he's not getting invited.
And he's not getting anything. And we're out having a good time and we're drinking and we're here with that. So I think he's jealous of that. And if he spent just maybe 1%, well, let's go 5% of what he spends on me on his other kids, because you don't even hear him talk about any of his kids. Never.
That's a shame.
Only the one in the MMA because it does him a benefit.
Right.
So this is the other issue. How come he doesn't talk about his kids? I'm talking about my kids day and night. And all I'm saying is if this continues, I'm going to tear his family apart verbally the way I know I can and what I can divulge and my brother can. And we haven't done it. And we both agreed the other day, if it continues, we're going to unleash, we're going to take our gloves off and we're going to make a wreck out of his personal family the way he tries to do it ours. So if that's not enough for him, maybe he doesn't give a shit about his kids enough, or his wife enough, or anybody else, or his mother-in-law, or his mother. Because I could take this back a lot of years with everybody, and his uncle, and Cali, and everywhere else. I really can get into this. And some of the stuff I know about his other kids, I don't do it. But at a time, I got to say, okay, if this is not going to be a one-way street here.
And I hope he understands that
I don't know, because he's so selfish. I don't think he cares about anybody in his family. He's
if
so
I'm him, I would
narcissistic.
look at the numbers. And the numbers that I've seen that were, good interviews, even the guys like you never even heard of,
Right.
minimum 50, 100,000.
Yeah.
Yours, 300,000. And then, you got almost 7 million with Patrick, right?
Vlad, I got $6.5 million.
Vlad, so right there's 13 million on two people. So now you put this out personally and you push it.
I don't have to put it up. I got offered to do this
Oh, that's right.
in
You're
a
not
book
even
form.
That's right.
I've been offered.
Yeah.
And everybody loves the shit. But my family name ain't the Gotti name.
Right.
So that I'll give them. Because of the father, they got that name. And anybody will buy that from me. And I haven't done it.
I forgot. Yeah, my mistake. We're not talking about YouTube.
Yeah.
We're talking about big companies.
So
He don't want that.
I don't know, because he hasn't stopped. So I don't know anybody who's this stupid. And everybody's always telling me take the high road, and I've been taking the high road for a long time now. So now I might go for the low road finally and just take the money.
Now, Mike, how long can a man take the high road? Right? I mean, how long can you do that?
I always said if you have a little scab on your finger and if you pick at it a little bit every day, it's eventually going to bleed.
Yeah.
So that's what I
And
consider it.
it seems to me like John's about down to that last little speck of a scab.
Oh, yeah, I had this discussion with my family and everybody else because they don't want this either. Nobody wants it. And I told them I had enough. So now this is his last chance. So, and we're putting it out there. It's his last chance. And if he's stupid enough not, then I guess he don't care about everybody I'm talking about. And if he doesn't know all the stuff I know, then that's shame on him that he doesn't realize what I know.
Does he know that you know? Do you think, or I should say, do you think he knows?
I don't think he's that stupid because he sees I know I'm not a dummy. He knows I must not be bluffing the way I talk. He knows I don't give a shit what he says about me. Everybody knows I don't care. That's not me. I mean, you got the wrong guy if you haven't learned that yet. That you think you come at me again with any other bullshit with my family, I'm going to unleash it. I said, so I really don't care. I'm not. He's an insecure guy. I'm not. I'm secure with everything I do. The way I talk, the way I act, the way I do everything. And anything he wants to affect, I'll affect his whole family after this. And I mean everybody, because I know everybody, and he knows I do. So he thinks he's going to pull what he did with everybody else, trying to bully, like he bullied Louis Casman. He bullied Curtis Lewa for a long time. He's scared of Sammy Gravano for whatever reason. So I don't know what Sammy has on him, that he doesn't really attack him. And that's the guy who...
You would think
like
that
you
would
said,
be the first person to attack, like we said 10 times, just because we're all men here.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we keep bringing it up.
I mean, I know a lot of things, even from prisons where his father was at. So, and I don't do it because I'm not trying to hurt his father and, his legacy either.
And I would say that that's a respectable man.
So sometime here, I have to stop this. So I've been asking him nicely, do shows with me, sit down like a gentleman, get in a boxing ring, whatever way you choose it. You're not a killer, so stop that nonsense. You didn't stick up for your sisters. You didn't stick up for your father when he got beat up. You didn't stick up for your father. And again, we're going to say it again so that no one says, oh, I'm bashing Gotti, the father. No, he ain't. He was an old man. At the time, a young guy beat his teeth in. What are you supposed to do? That's life. But his son should have did something about it. And his son didn't.
And for the record, John and I talked for at least an hour the first time before we got on, a couple hours after we got on, an hour before we got on this time, and you've had nothing but praise for his father.
Yeah. And we're going to go to his 302’s, right?
All right, John. So the 302 that you got, that's on John Gotti Jr.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And this is all about him.
Yeah.
This is him.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we have here? This is page 1. We got 5 pages of this.
Let's just start on page 1. So the date on this page transcription is January 16th, 2006, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go back to page 2 or 3 or 4 in this document?
Okay. So here's page 4.
Okay. Let's stop right here.
Okay.
It's January 18th, 2005. So later on, you're going to have a picture up where it says I only talked for 30 minutes, Gotti says. It was my mistake. But as you see, it's not 30 minutes. It's January 18, 2005, and now go back to the first page. And here we have the data transcription, January 16, 2006, a year later. So when he started talking as an informant, it was in 2005. And here's where he meets them in 2006.
Right. So right there, you see 1/16/2006, 1/18/2005.
Right. So he's actually got a year of informing. And the documents in the first day he supposedly meets them is a year later in the office of the FBI. So let's go back to the FBI.
Okay, so here's page 1.
Okay. Now, as you can see, Jeffrey Lichtman is his lawyer, presented by attorney Jeffrey Lichtman. Jeffrey Lichtman is he only went to trial twice in his career as an attorney. He's known to bring guys in to cooperate. That's why John Gotti Jr. picked him, so he can walk him into the government. This wasn't like by accident. This was designed because he wanted to meet the government. Also in this, it says that he made the appointment to go see the government. This meeting was arranged by Gotti Jr.'s request. You see that?
Yeah.
When you read the third line, it was arranged by John Gotti Jr.'s request. So he asked, can I become a rat and work for the government?
So he asked to, and then he hired a lawyer that works with people that want to cooperate.
Correct.
To get them,
Yes.
Like he's a known lawyer. Like if you're going
Yes.
to cooperate, that's who you go to because
Correct.
the U.S. attorneys know.
This attorney only went to trial twice in his life, Jeffrey Lichtman. So he walks him in, he sits him down, and to do this, so everybody understands why I wanted you to see the date from 2005. Now this is a year later, 2006. It's a year. To do this, just to get a meeting with the FBI, Washington, D.C., the United States Marshals, his attorneys, and court stenographers, had to take him anywhere from 45, 60 days or better just to get this meeting, to coordinate all the guys. Because it's not like me and Michael coming up here to see you to do the show. We just come up to the front door and we walk in the elevator and we come up. Gotti couldn't do that. He had to get a coordinated effort from the United States Marshals and the FBI to bring him in from under the building in a closed-off garage through a back elevator. And the reason for this is if somebody sees him walking through the front door to the United States Attorney's office, they're going to know he's a rat. There's no reason for him to. So who he's got to hide from is the guys that are sanitation, people are cleaning the floors, secretaries in the building, just the doorman, whoever else works in this building for the United States Attorney's Office. Anybody could see him. They'll drop a dime to the other mob guys and say, hey, this guy's a rat. You can't believe what I seen. So they got to bring him undercover under a building, in a dark out car, through an elevator, under protection, and the same thing with his lawyer, right? So they come up the building, and now they sit down and they discuss Proffer. And here we got the agreement and the terms of the agreement. And the first thing that they talk about is the murder of Danny Silva. Now, this murder is 1983, right? March 11th or 12th of 1983. Now, Gotti Jr., along with his friends, he says who? Mark Caputo, he puts on this indictment, on this 302, excuse me, and he puts his friend Anthony Amoroso that were present. He also gives names of the rest of the guys that were in the bar that night. That murder is still indictable. There's no statute on this murder. So he puts all these guys, friends and other guys that are not listed right here, in that proffer agreement he discusses, and the other guys know this, that are not named here. They all know that he discussed because the police came to see him. And they tried to talk to him and they had a lawyer up and everything. He tried to blame this murder on other guys. And you're still putting guys, no matter what he says, at a murder investigation that's open till today. That somebody can still get a life sentence for this. So that's his first opening statement, right? When you go to the second paragraph, he tells the story of 30 to 40 patrons that are at the bar. So he's given the exact amount of names and people that are there. So it gives the basis. He could have said, I don't know how many people there, or I could have said 200. But he's there to rat. He's there to cooperate.
He's building a foundation for what he's about to do.
Gotti, now look, Gotti Jr. recalled that among those involved in the melee were, and he mentions, go to the right, Danny Silva, that's who dies, John and Greg Massa. Okay, these are friends of mine. We grew up with them, nice guys, you know, gambling guys. They ain't killers. They didn't try to kill nobody. He accused them of killing this guy. They know that. We know that. I spoke up for these guys and say, I wasn't there that night, but I know because my best friend, Kevin Bond, who later on cooperates, his girlfriend, drive John Gotti Jr. home, and he brags about he's the one that killed this kid. But at this Proffer meeting, he puts all these guys in harm's way to get charged with murder and also blames them for killing him. So he gets himself out of it, and he blames them, and he's proffering and he's discussing first name unknown Riley and John Sonamo. Now, Sonamo later on gets hung and killed, and he discusses that also. But if you go to the last paragraph.
Yeah, read that last paragraph.
Gotti Jr. described the meeting, which occurred in a short time after the incident of the Silver Fox between Angelo Ruggiero Sr. and the New York City Police Department Detective John Daly. So now he gives up John Daly.
Jesus.
And says that John Daly's involved with his father and Angelo Ruggiero. And Angelo Ruggiero drove to the meeting, which took place at the Sherwood Diner. Okay, 5 Towns is Long Island. That's where Angelo Ruggiero lived at the time. Before the meeting, Gotti Jr. and Ruggiero discussed the purpose of the meeting. Go to the next page. According to Jr.
Okay, gotta go to page 2. It's for... Yeah, he's really throwing names around there, John.
Now, Ruggiero paid off the cop $25,000. So he's given up the cop that he took $25,000.
So John Gotti Jr. is saying at the proffer that he paid the cop $25,000.
He's saying the cop took the money from Angelo Ruggiero.
Right.
Right. So, okay. Now he's blaming the cop. He's got the cop in trouble. Right? Gotti Jr.'s, Angelo Ruggiero is passed away at this time. So he can't get in trouble. Okay. Following the meeting, let's see what else it says.
Following the meeting between Ruggiero and Daly, Gotti Jr. was instructed by his father, John J. Gotti, Gotti Sr., to leave New York for a while until things cooled down. Gotti Jr. left New York for Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where he remained for some time. At some point, Gotti Sr. joined him in Florida, and the two eventually returned to New York. Upon Gotti Jr.'s return to New York, he learned that John Sonamo, one of Danny Silva's friends, who was present at the Silver Fox the night Silva was stabbed and killed, was dead, apparently having hung himself. Gotti Jr. provided the following as background. Again, Gotti Jr. provided the following as background. Angelo Ruggiero was put on the shelf by Gotti. What does put on the shelf mean for people that don't know?
People on the shelf means you're not recognized anymore as a gangster and nobody can talk to you. You're shunned away from the street.
You're like blacklisted.
You're blacklisted.
Okay. Again, Angelo Ruggiero was put on the shelf, blacklisted by Gotti Sr., John Gotti, who passed away. After the murder of Jimmy Heidel in 1986, Heidel was tortured and killed by members of the Lucchese organized crime family because he was Heidel and others had shot and tried to kill Anthony Gaspipe, Casso, which you talked about. The Lucchese family learned that Ruggiero was behind the attempt to kill Casso and demanded that Ruggiero himself be killed. Gotti Sr., who was very close to Ruggiero, did not have Ruggiero killed. Instead, Ruggiero was put on the shelf.
Now skip all the way down to the second to the last line. Okay. Gambino family member Danny Marino's approval to kill Heidel because according to Gotti Jr., Heidel was Marino's nephew. So right here he rats on Danny Marino. Danny Marino actually has to take a plea because Jr. ratted on him. He's a captain in the Gambino family. Now, when Danny Marino gets pinched and he has to take a plea because of Gotti sitting here, Danny Marino, I think, begs to differ, and he knows, obviously, John Gotti Jr. is a rat. Now, not only does Danny have to take a plea, and other guys got to take a plea, because they know he's sitting with the government giving information. So the minute Danny leaves and he finds this out, John Gotti Jr. hires another attorney, Charlie Canisi, who's passed away since, who was Danny Marino's lawyer. So he has the information right away, knowing Junior's a rat. And Danny knows it's only a matter of time, and they circulate these papers along to the rest of the Gambino family. Now, me, I'm not here. I'm in prison in Brazil, in the penitentiaries. And while this is going on, my headlines in Brazil is King of Crime of New York is pinched for homicide, drugs, and whatever else they charge me with, and RICO, they say. That's the headlines. His headlines, I think you have, and we could show that.
Yeah. Pull them up. Go ahead, John.
His headlines is 2005. For someone to call me a rat, it's just not right. That was my mistake talking to the FBI for 30 minutes. So we just discussed, this isn't 30 minutes. This was a year from date to date on those paperwork. It was a 45 to 60 day or even a little longer than that just to get this thing.
Let's say 90.
90 days to get this arranged. He didn't come through the front door. He went in undercover, and he got caught. So when he got caught, somehow the paperwork came out, whether it's through Danny Marino and his lawyer, Charlie Canisi, who later becomes Gotti's lawyer. So he helps him to finagle around this because he's paying him. And Danny's pinched and went to jail already. Now, Gotti's headlines is this. While I'm in Brazil penitentiary, this is going on in New York.
Right.
Now, go to the next one. This is the New York Post. That was the Daily News of New York Post. And they show Junior had a singing tryout, turned canary and futile bill to stay out of the prosecutor's cage. Now, I didn't write the Daily News. I didn't write for the New York Post. And I didn't write that. I didn't mean to rat for 30 minutes, he wrote.
Which we just showed that it was a year.
Yeah. So this is him trying to desperately change this story. But then he does his own YouTube that no one sees, or a couple people saw it. It's still out there. People got it. Where he said, I'm sorry, I was only ratting on my enemies. I didn't rat on any of my friends. So all those guys he gave up in the Danny Silva murder, he put them all on blast and basically pointed his finger at all of them, said they did it, I didn't do it. They did it. And he gave up, so far, Danny Marino that we see here, he gave up all the guys who were at the bar, which was, 4 or 5 or 6 of them. And then he gave up the cop daily for taking the money. So we got about 5 or 6 guys that go up. So when he says no one ever went to jail because of me, yes, he did. Danny had to take a plea because of it.
Yeah, right there it is.
Yeah. So now we could keep going after that.
Okay, so we'll go to page 3 here of the PDF.
There's more guys that the names are popping up.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Brown, Jimmy Brown at that time is, I think he passed away. Before that, Joe Butch. I'm not sure when these guys died because I was away, but I think they might have been dead by then. But if not, he gave them up too.
But still, their names are in there.
Well, he's still putting their names in.
Now, this is page 3.
Okay.
If you want to take it from here, John? Or Mike?
Go ahead, John.
Now you have Sanamo, that was one of the guys that witnessed this bar murder, and then he's killed. Now he goes and he obtains official police reports of the Silva murder investigation from Daly. So he's given up Daly that he had the investigation report. Let's see, in fact, okay, inside was a murder. He killed Sanamo, Senior's orders. So Gotti Sr. Detective John, they provided background information regarding Sanamo, which again, okay, so he's given up Daly, saying he gave the information so they can grab Sanamo. So he's ratting on Daly again here.
He really wants Daly gone, huh?
Yeah. And then he talks about the cash payment that was given to Daly. And then he goes into one meeting involving the murder of Sanamo. Watts also told Gotti Jr. that the first piece of work Watts was involved in was the murder of Vito Borelli in approximately 1980, which he committed with Gotti Sr. So now he's giving up Joe Watts. John Gotti Jr. because he hates Joe Watts, and he's afraid of Joe Watts. And Joe Watts was very loyal to John Gotti Sr., but he wanted to kill John Gotti Jr. He never liked him. So this is back to what I said. There was a lot of guys that involved in the mob that never liked John Gotti Jr. Joe Watts is one of them. Danny Marino is one, and the guy you know very well is Johnny Kinnick. None of these guys liked John Gotti Jr. or respected him. And then you have Gaspipe on the Lucchese family that wanted to kill him. So he has big problems in the mafia world. And he's way out of his league with some serious guys here.
I would say that. Now read the line right after that. That's even more damning. According to Gotti Jr., remember he's at a Proffer right now, John Daly was assigned to the 106th precinct during the time he received the payoffs from the Gambino family and provided information to the Gambino family about the Silva murder investigation. Gotti Jr. added that Daly later went to work for the Queens District Attorney's Office.
So what he's saying, not only is he ratting on Daly, he's ratting on a lot of people that are involved in the Queens District Attorney's Office, saying there's a lot of corruption going on there. Right. So, the list is getting bigger now, how many people he's already given up.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. By him doing that, now, any cop that you're paying off to get away with shit, they're not going to want to fuck with you because this guy's taking a cop down.
Well, now you got to remember, there's an internal investigation that's going to go on within the system. So now you're hurting every mob guy, every law enforcement officer that's working there, who's helping street guys.
Right. So, for instance, like if you're throwing a little something to a cop here and there for taking gambling bets, right? You're not killing anybody. You're not selling fucking cocaine. They take the payoff. Well, now you can take your bets, dog track, whatever it may be. Well, now they see this because they know. Now you just didn't hurt the guys that you're ratting on. You hurt everybody.
Will be some of those guys in that murder scene where Danny Silva got killed. Be those friends of mine that know that he ratted, and he knows that Gotti blamed them for it. And be them now, and you're sticking around knowing the boss's son just gave everybody up. And then the next one is the most damaging, the bottom, Oak Point garbage dump. At some point in the late 1980s, Gotti Jr. and others wanted to develop approximately 20 acres of land located on the Bronx side of the Tribal Bridge. This tract of land was known as Oak Point and was at the same time being used by New York City as a garbage dump. Gotti Jr. and his associates...
No, I fucked you up.
Gotti Jr. and his associates wanted to build modular homes on the property through a company known as Bry Star Homes. In addition to the housing development, Gotti Jr. wanted to get involved in this is the most important thing. I want everybody to hear it again. In addition to the housing development, Gotti Jr. wanted to get involved in the construction of the Bronx House of Detention.
And what's the House of Detention, John?
So for the people that don't know what the Bronx House of Detention is, he wanted to build a jail. And now not only is he ratting on everybody that's helping to get this done, he wants to build a jail so everybody can die in prison the way his father did.
How can he get away with that? Like, how can he get away with that?
Well, this is how he can get away with it. Junior had received assurances he would be able to sell the prison to the city of New York for $20 million. So now, according to him, he gives up David Norkin. David Norkin is a partner of Gotti Jr.'s in the venture, purchased the property. So for the people that don't know who David Norkin is, he owned a company called Farberware that I speak about because I was told by Gotti Sr. to babysit David Norkin and his partner, Bill. And what they were doing was washing drug money. David lived in Greenwich Court. They were giving me checks. I'm bringing these checks down to Germantown in Philly, and they're cleaning them for me. I'm bringing them to Rocky Finelli's company, sewer company, and he's cleaning them for me. I'm bringing them down to a pawn shop in Philly, the two brothers that my friend Locke was bringing me to so he could clean it for me. And I was protecting this guy from his involvement in the with the Colombians.
We're at 5 right now on my count.
Now he gets better. Junior advised that bribes will be paid at least to 2 other city politicians in order to secure certain permits required for the development of the project. And he gives up Sangaro and a captain in the Gambino family. And associating with the Bronx politician, he gives up Gonzalez. And he gives up, where else does he give up? Sangaro. So he's giving up Joe, he's giving up Gonzalez, he's giving up...
Damn, he's giving up straight names.
Now, they both attended at Alex and Henry's Catering Hall in the Bronx. So he's giving up location. This is very precise. So when he says, you know, I was only ratting on my enemies, I didn't hurt nobody, nobody's going to jail. Look how many people he's hurt already.
What are you at, Mike? I'm at 5.
I lost count.
Now, you got to remember those 5. So the people that don't understand, when they know they're in trouble, either they cut a deal or they start talking.
It's a domino effect.
And it's a domino effect. So there is no thing about, I'm taking a stand, because Whitey Bulger never took the stand. And he ended up getting killed for it, ratting, doing just what John Jr.'s doing. Willie Boy Johnson was ordered dead by John Gotti Sr. for doing exactly what John Gotti Jr. is doing right here. He was killed. They called Greg Scarpa a guy that was cooperating, and Jr. called him a rat 100 times, exactly for this. So when he's saying he didn't do anything wrong, now let's just stop it right here. I'm in a penitentiary in Brazil, facing all kinds of murder charges, drug charges, life sentences, and possible death sentence. And you find out that this man is sitting down with the FBI and that there's my page. Well, I'm in. This is 2004. I'm sitting in one of the worst penitentiaries in Brazil, and mine says, with people who can't read Portuguese, O is the, Rei is king, Do is the king of crime of New York, and I'm pinched for homicide, trafficking, Mafia American in prison in Copacabana. They caught me sending emails to my partners. And that's me handcuffed. While I'm hitting those headlines, Gotti's headlines is he's the rat. So I didn't draw these papers up. I'm not the one sitting with the FBI. I'm not the one giving this information. He is. So now at this point in my life, I don't care. At that point, I was suffering immensely. My family suffered. I lost millions. There is no way to turn this around that he's trying to turn around. I have no involvement. He was the boss's son. I wasn't at that murder. I was in California when this happens, at that bar at the Silver Fox. So I'm nowhere near. There's no way to connect me. There's no reason to blame me. There's no reason for him to say anything about me, because he's ratting for a year, and we showed that. He was undercover for a year. And he took a tunnel underground to get there. And he used a lawyer that he knows would cooperate and bring him in. So this message he's trying to send, it's not sellable to anybody. Now, if you go to payments described, he gets further. Norkin at the law firm, he gives up Dandorf Melito in order to crease the skids in the development of housing project. So he gives up another guy. So he's at about 10 guys now of he's writing on. Keep going now.
He's pretty detailed, too.
He's very detailed. So you can, listen, you're not going to walk into the FBI's office, the most intelligent agency in the world, with the most power around, and think you're going to game him. So that nonsense about that stupid cell, he forgot that he made the video saying I only ratted on my enemies. And when I was in prison in Brazil and they give me this information, I says, oh, so I only got that girl pregnant halfway, huh? So there's my answer. So when he's blaming things on me, hey, you got to eat your own shit. So this was back to the art of war. His captains are talking. We went through them. He's talking. We went through them. All of his associates are talking. He went through them. He told guys in Brazil that Michael sent documents of $800,000. I sent the guy. The guy sent he robbed my $800,000 on Gotti's orders. He did a video for him on YouTube, lying for him. And he sent my documents to the United States government to hopefully give me a death sentence. So this is all that's being done to me while I'm sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil, not talking. And
we showed proof of that, too.
And he tries to kick it back now to say I was a cooperator since 1991, when his other captain, not mine, his best friend that he said, his right-hand man, Mikey Scars DiLeonardo, says Gotti's lying. He puts a document out in 1994, 1995 that says, Gotti said Alite will never rat. He's not a rat. He'll never rat. He's going to stay strong wherever he is. That's Gotti's words. And that's his captain's words, not mine. So when he somehow is trying to swing this while I'm in a penitentiary in Brazil protecting my enemies, he's given up his enemies. He's given up his friends. He's given up my friends. Now, one of my friends ends up cooperating. He got 27 years. He does his time. And I speak up for him, my friend Kevin Bonner. He drove John Gotti Jr. home after that murder to change his clothes because he was all bloody. He told Kevin, and he's making fun of how he killed the guy. He stabbed him from behind and whatever. Kevin testifies against him. Gotti Jr. never gets pinched, right? And other people testify. John Gotti Jr. never gets pinched for this murder. Instead, all my friends are under investigation. So when he's trying to, he's trying this Machiavelli switch and bait.
Right. You're taking the attention from one thing and pushing it to another.
And that's why he's so obsessed with keeping the pressure on me.
Well, there's
to
the
answer your question.
Why.
I didn't know why. I know why early. I was trying to see what you guys.
Yeah.
Now you all know why.
Well, now you see.
This is the reason why. So if the attention stays away from him and on me, he thinks he's going to walk away from what the whole world. Well, he's this arrogant. You got to remember, this is a guy that went on 60 Minutes 3 times, not once, 3 times because he's a narcissist. He knew he made a deal with them that they weren't allowed to ask him any of these questions. Because how's he going to answer after he did his own YouTube saying, I only ratted a little. It was my mistake to rat for 30 minutes. I only ratted on my enemies. And then here we got a year of ratting.
So on that dateline that you see him on, those are pre-questions.
Pre-questions that he put in and they couldn't ask.
Like Sleepy's doing right now.
Right. So I call him up 60 Minutes and I said, did you buy the beach balls yourselves when you hit them to him, or did he bring them? And and he's the answer was, well, that wasn't my call. The executive producer said, we got to only do it this way for the ratings because of his father.
Yeah.
So there's your answer. What I'm fighting. So of course they want to talk about Johnny Alite's sex life, or Johnny Alite in jails in Brazil, or Johnny Alite this or that, or we got to hate Johnny Alite. You really don't want to go after Sammy Gravano because it doesn't hold your attention away from this.
Right, because that could involve him.
Now this made so far, what are we at, 10 people that he gave up at least. But this, 10, makes another 100 guys either rat or take pleas.
Because half are going to rat.
Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, when I come in, right, because anybody can use the word they want. When I'm in the position, all these captains ratting on me, and the boss, so whether I like him or not, is sitting down ratting and they can bury me, it's either you say to yourself, oh, I'm done now, or, you go to jail for life like a sucker for the guys that are all giving you up. So when he says, oh, I didn't rat on Johnny Alite, not directly. You're sitting in the office, I'm in jail, I'm in a penitentiary, and I'm waiting for him to start talking about my murders. So, when everybody says, what did he do? He's been an informant. I sat in those pens. I left my kids. My kids hated me because I left them. I lost my kids for a lot of years. I didn't see 2 of my kids for 12 years. Their mother didn't want nothing to do with me. I suffered. I lost all my money, the money that you guys know I have when people say they don't know, my property, the millions and everything else. And it cost me millions of suffering for lawyers. My whole family had to get lawyers for. And this guy's trying to turn this around. And trying to keep switching papers and say Alite's a rat, or he's going to play a new tape of some nonsense. So, we see how much they're lying, right? One thing after another, just continually lying.
And you said all that, and what about all the work that you put in on the strength of his father? Whether you like Junior or not, you were in the position that you were in. What about all the work that you did for him? All the risks that you took? Fuck them. I mean, the money's money, but, family.
You know how many guys he must have gave up? Tony DeMeo was a drug dealer that was paying John Gotti Jr. direct. Had nothing to do with me. Glenn Erskowitz, there's a bar in CBS in Howard Beach. He beat the kid up because he was only giving him $350 a week. He wanted $500. Kid didn't hit him back. He's not a tough guy. He was a Jewish guy, drug dealer. He was making him give him money. He was dealing drugs with him. He was his partner. The problem with Gotti is I got a good memory. He doesn't like it. And he had another guy, Chalpy, that was moving marijuana from the old side of Howard Beach that Gotti was getting an end. He had a friend he grew up with, Mandel, that was small-time drug dealer that Gotti forced him to sell drugs. He didn't even want to sell them. And he said to him, he's got to do business with me. And we met at a place in the city at the time called the Iguana. We had the club and we had the bouncers there. Matter of fact, Steve Doby and those guys worked there for me at the time. Gotti didn't even know them. They were my guys, and now he's staying with them. So the problem is when I talk about these guys, Johnny Gebbett, the one, the rapist that gang raped the girl, that was John Gotti's partner in the drug business with him. Johnny Lito was another guy who cooperated, that was moving heroin and pills and some other things with my cousin Nicky Pasquale that I shot later on, that was working with Gotti. Gotti told him to ignore me, and I shot him for not for listening to Gotti. But John Alite testifies that I'm giving John Gotti money, not me. A guy, John Moose, on 116th Street and 101st Avenue, was giving him $800 a week every week and giving me $800 every week. And he was moving cocaine on top of that in kilos for us. So John would pick up the money himself, not me. So when he wants to talk, I can go on with the drug guys that he was in business with that had nothing to do with me. There was another guy, Kevin Fitz, that later on becomes a drug counselor that did business with Gebbin and John Jr. Nothing to do with me. And that list goes on. Jimmy D is another guy who was a small-time drug dealer and fireworks guy that was around Joe Messina. They put him in the basement of John Jr.'s club and were beating his hands with a hammer because he wasn't giving him an end to the marijuana business.
Jesus
So
Christ.
when the guy wants to say he's not a drug dealer, his construction partner, Vinny Zolo, I'm in prison. Has nothing to do with me. They get pinched in a drug case. John Jr. was superseded indictment in it. He made the kid Vinny Zolo take the weight for the drug case. I wasn't on that case. That was your drug case. So when this guy talks, you have Kevin Bonner, the one that drove him home, that testifies that John Gotti Jr. is the one that brought us a connection. John Kelly, for us to start buying kilos from, so we're all go partners. And then we end up robbing John Kelly, and he testifies against me. And that's how I go to jail for 4 years. And that was on John Gotti Jr. And actually, none of us wanted to rob John Kelly. So in a way, I don't blame him that he ratted on me. Because we had no business robbing the guy. But John Gotti Jr. wanted to because he wanted to control him.
But at least you're man enough to say that.
Yeah, I'd say it. I mean, I might not like the guy, but really, I don't blame him. I get it. He didn't do nothing wrong. He was just, he was selling coke with us. He was selling it to us, whatever. John wanted to rob him because he was greedy. But these are John Gotti's guys, not mine. All of them. And the list goes on. So the problem is when he lies to this extent, and this is going on so long, and I went over this, but this is the first time we're actually going through detail, and it was a smart thing that you suggested to go through it like this, is because anybody with a half a brain now, what are they gonna say?
There's nothing you can say. I mean, when you have a court document, you can't, because one, if you fake it, you're going to jail.
Right.
Well, if they catch you, I guess. So
he gives up his guy Michael McLaughlin. He says he's at the dump. He puts him in this. He puts a lot of guys in this.
Alito, and he's giving cash numbers: 100,000, 125, 125K. Fuck. I mean, he's putting these guys' numbers. This points going in are going to be fucking.
When you're sitting there doing this and they're talking and they're writing, this takes. Forget about one day. It takes weeks. So like the date shows, it's 1 year. It's not this date's from this date. It's a year.
Right. So John, these 5 pages that we have, they don't get 5 pages in one day.
No.
This is multiple trips up there, right?
100%. And it's the way you sneak in. And it's the way you set it up for months. And it's the way that you lied. You said you only ratted a little bit on your enemies. Then you said I made a mistake to rat for 30 minutes. Then it was my mistake. I had a weak moment. He's changed his story so many times. And then you have the nerve to say you're not rat and you're putting an open murder and all those guys' names there.
But am I missing something? Because if he says, "Oh, well, I ratted on my enemies," what difference does it make? You ratted, am I right?
100%.
So it doesn't matter.
I'm in Brazil protecting my enemy, him.
But I'm saying, like, he says you're a rat and he's not a rat. It doesn't matter. I would think, I'm not, Gambino. If I rat on Joe Schmo, there's no difference between Joe Schmo, Johnny Alite, or Mike.
No.
What is the fucking difference? You ratted. You cooperated. If you walk in that room and start talking, that's cooperation.
We have close to 150 or 200 made members, right? And we have associates. So you're talking about when we know he's in, there's 10,000 guys between the made guys and associates in our family that are panicking that this guy's going to rat like crazy. So everybody's running into their agents and either cooperating or making deals before you get 200 years if this guy continues.
You jump on it quick,
now,
right?
He acts like he beat. Now, here's the final thing so everybody understands. Once he cooperates and then he goes to trial, even if he loses after he cooperates, he's an informant, but he's refusing to get on the stand or whatever reason, whatever happened. Once he loses that trial, he's just going to say, okay, I'll finish talking, and he ain't going to go to jail. Or if he goes to jail, it's going to be for a year or two.
Skid bid.
Just what Joe Messina did. And he already knows that. So when he's trying to King Kong his chest, I went on 4 trials, You went on 4 trials and you couldn't get convicted because you were a rat and they couldn't use a lot of this information against you. You made a deal. So this is the hard time that the government had trying to convict this guy. Mm-hmm. And then you got people that are backtracking for him because it's Gotti's son. So you got a lot of things here. But one thing you can't change, and the whole mob here don't want nothing to do with him, he's a rat. The whole mob in Canada or in Italy would rip him apart if he goes to those countries.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend he goes to Italy.
No. And so at this point, you cannot change this document.
No, and these are PDFs, by the way. I can't see, for people watching, see if this wasn't a PDF, I could highlight just one part. When it's a sealed PDF, you know, like I'm clicking, that's all I can get. And my purpose of saying that is that it's a PDF, not an exported PDF. I can't click on shit.
He also, as he's doing this, has one of my partners, Timmy Donovan, testify in his behalf and tells him it's okay if he testifies against me. Huh. He also tells the Gotti brothers that's around his other captain, Joe Curry, who's dead now from Tampa, it's okay for the boys, John and Jason Gotti, to testify against me. So he's telling guys, Robert Lamont, and I'm good at names, Robert Lamondola,
you have a hell of
it's
memory.
Okay to testify against Johnny Alite. Don't worry about it. So they're all getting permission to rat on me because he said so. So when people say to me, you want to call me a rat? Go ahead. Yeah, there's no excuses on my behalf. I really don't care what anybody thinks. I'm not like him. He's not man enough to stand to anything he does. So when people say to me, what's it between you two? He's lying up and down. We're showing everything that he's just lying. So I'm not going to sit here like everybody else and let him keep diverting the traffic. If he would shut up, I would shut up. But since he won't shut up, this has got to be the truth of what happened. And it's not just him. It's all his captains, tons of them. They were all rat. Like I said earlier, Fat Dom or Greg De Palma, he didn't want to finish rat. He hung himself. So these are his guys, not mine. You're the boss. Go ahead.
So people killed themselves because of him.
Yeah, Greg De Palma ends up hanging himself.
Man.
So I think that's all the document, right, on this?
No, there's one more. There's page 5 here. This is spring of '90. Gotti Jr. and other Gambino members pursued another project involving a garbage dump. This dump was located. Damn, he's giving fucking. Was located Matamora, so I don't even know where that is, Pennsylvania. Gotti, as well as high-ranking members of the Lucchese family, concerning this project. On behalf of the Gambino family, which Gotti Jr. continually preferred to refer to as our family. Go ahead, John.
I just want to cut in. Pete Gotti at this time is in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's his uncle.
Right.
That's his father's brother. Right? He's in jail. And he could say anything he wants, that Pete got this many years or that many years. By ratting here, he can give people can't get an appeal. Even if he beat his other case, they'll add another case now.
They'll just hit him back.
Hit him again.
Yeah.
So he's ratting on his uncle. He's ratting on Sammy's already cooperating. You know, so he's got guys that he's already ratting on, and add in the rest of these guys. Al Diaco was the boss, and later on he ratted. Or before that he ratted, gas pipe, whatever. Everybody knows his situation. I don't know Patty's situation. So he's ratting on all these guys, but he's also ratting on all these families. He's saying everybody's involved in this scheme. So, you know, it just opens more investigations against these crime families. Because anybody that's involved with this now is also got to worry about their investigation and what else are they doing. You know, because they're doing other things.
Read that paragraph. Queens District Attorney's Office. Read that one.
Gotti Jr. also stated the Gambino family member, Anthony Tony Lee Guerrera, he's passed away. Tony was Fat Andy's partner, for the people that don't know. And his relationship with local politician Sal Reale. I mean, these are all, he's ratting on all these guys, and an influence with the Queens District Attorney's Office. Oh, well, John Santucci was the district attorney. He says he identified Mike Curry as the Gambino family's go-to guy. Mike Curry was from Long Island. He was Louis Casman's close friend. He was involved with money laundering in the heroin business with Angelo Ruggiero and Jeannie and Johnny Knig's case. So the people that don't know, I have the background on all these guys. I know everything about these guys. So he's also identifying Mike. So he's putting guys, even if they have cases, they got no appeal, they're going to have big appeal problems or get hit with a new case. So this is what he's doing.
God damn, he took down a politician too.
He took down
Jesus.
and be any of these guys. Say you're the politician and you're involved in this, and you're involved with him and another guy, right? Because you're all involved in this. Everybody's panicking. Guys are ratting. Guys are calling in. Guys are calling the lawyers. They're doing exactly what he's doing. They become quiet informants, getting other guys locked up. So hundreds of guys got locked up because of him, or took deals because of him, including myself and all our guys. One after another, everybody was panicking. I says, of course, your guys calling the shots. Look at all, whether they're drug dealers, whether they're junkies, whether they're this. I'm doing a lot of work, right? So let's follow him and say I only killed junk dealers. Well, I killed Georgie Grasso for you. Now you're in that office, and I know I got a body for you with that. I shot Ricky Stratton in the head. I know you're in the body for that. I shot Mike Lavigny in the chest. I know you're inside the government's office. I shot TT. I shot Mike Pip. I shot Sal Noto.
On his car, right?
Well, I was protecting Joe O'Kane, his guy in the bulkhead. I shot Sal Noto's brother-in-law, and I shot his other friend. I think it's his friend or some other guy who was just getting involved like a dummy. And I shot them too. I mean, I shot all these guys because of him. I says, or I hurt half the guys because of him. I baseball batted. I didn't baseball bat him. I piped him on the beach, Gene Foster. I had nothing against this kid. I piped him for him. They made me do it. I can go on with a list of names like I always do, but they were for him. Some of them are for me. I mean, I did some things like with Frankie Burke. I admitted to 2 murders that had nothing to do with him, and I told the government it had nothing to do with him. But how about all these murders and shootings and stabbings and robberies and drug robberies we did and home invasions, and we broke into another place and I get counterfeit money with Colombians, and then they try to hit me afterwards. He's involved with it. He could have buried me for 700 years. So when people are saying to me, what are you thinking when you're in Brazil? Well, I could tell you what I was thinking, because all the guys that still talk to me from those jails, they were with me when I got the information that he was a rat. So he can't change that. You don't spend millions of dollars and fight your way in to stay in Brazil if you want to cooperate. You wouldn't do that. You don't spend millions. You come home and you continue ratting if that's what you want to do.
Right.
I fought it. I stayed there.
Yeah.
I paid millions. I paid investigators. I paid everything while he's ratting. He can't turn that around. Now, when I get the information, I fly my guys to Brazil to see me, a couple of them. One of them ends up cooperating too on a sneak and this and that. But one of them, Frankie's still around. And he's the one that said to me, oh, you're fucked. He's ratting and everybody else is ratting and all his guys, captains are ratting. You're in trouble. He goes, and he told me, you're crazy. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to stay in this jail. Because he came to visit me. And so he knows firsthand it was a hellhole. So when he has guys like this guy, Marco De Pinto, that I sent $800,000 and he stole it, and he took all my law papers and sent it home to the government.
Oh.
And then he tried to fuck me that way too. And then he's doing interviews for Gotti, helping him. And everybody said, what was Marco's benefit? Marco's benefit is Gotti's telling him, don't worry, I'll protect you. And you get $800,000. Fuck him. And so he fucked me. And he took the $800,000.
And he gets off clean for giving up these names?
And so you think this guy would just go away quietly and say, hey, I got away. I only did like 4 years in prison. Johnny Alite got fucked every which way. He's got all his money, I don't. So he would think he'd just shut up and leave. Instead, he's this narcissistic and crazy that he's been attacking me for 10 years almost, 9 years. And I'm saying, is this guy got rocks in his head? I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss's son. You were. I'm a nobody, you said. I'm a lowlife. I'm a drug dealer. So what are you writing about me? What are you doing shows about me? What are you attacking me for? What are you wasting so much time on me for? But this is why. Now you understand the full picture.
Yeah, you put it. It's like we keep saying.
And a year on that paperwork.
Is it possible that the lag in the year from these 2 documents, that because it seems like it's all over the place, these 5 documents, is it possible they picked from like several or many?
It could have did anything, of course.
Picked them and put this together off of those.
Listen, you know what? I'm going to tell you something else for the people that don't know. When you're an informant like him, unless you get on a stand, nobody will know how much paperwork's out there. Because he'll come out once in a while, I'll get any paperwork, I'll sign anything. Listen, you've been bullshitting about everything from day one, from the beginning to the end. And I just said it. How many guys in your position were killed for doing exactly what you're doing as an informant? And you can ask guys like Joe or anybody else what they'll tell you about this paperwork.
A lot less, too.
Now, I'm not like him. I can't make the excuse that, oh, I'm only telling because he told and that guy told, because that doesn't work in the street. For me, I think I made the right decision. I don't care what anybody thinks. I says, but no matter what, they say, well, John, you cooperate too. And I'm okay. All right, I cooperate. I get it. I says, our rules, our laws. He can't change the fact that he's a rat. He's trying to change it, and he's trying to misdirect everybody towards me. But it doesn't matter what I did, and I said that the last time we talked. It only matters what he did, and he's a fucking rat. There's nothing to change. Now, he can bring up any other thing he wants. I shoot heroin. I'm a drunk. I never had money. I'm a bitch. I'm anything he wants to say.
I don't know any person who shoots heroin that looks like that.
Yeah. So,
Do you?
know, no, I don't know any. So when he says that about me, it doesn't change that fact.
Right. In black and white.
So, but he's trying to divert that fact. That's his game.
Yeah. The Art of War.
Yeah.
Machiavelli.
Machiavelli.
And as you were saying, I mean, John would know better than me, but if it makes sense, like page 1, page 2, page 3, I mean, they're in order, but there could be fucking 20 more pages that you don't have.
Well, how could they be in order if there's a year lag? Which one was the...
Well, you got to remember something. They keep somebody on the street like him. Are you kidding me? He's a golden goose. Yeah. Every time we're meeting or somebody's sitting down, he's going to feed information. Just like Whitey Bulger did. There's no paperwork with Whitey Bulger. He was ratting the whole time.
So,
yeah, and then
now
he did his dirty work, and then,
right.
yeah.
So if it's a consecutive paperwork, how could there be a year date in the middle of the 5 documents?
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. You know, this is over a year period, so he might go in one day and he's there 3-4 hours. And again, John can tell you better than me. It's just from the little I know. You might be there 3-4 hours, and they take some of it they don't. Then you're waiting again another for the email from the lawyer to go again. And
they don't write every little thing you're saying.
Yeah, they just take like the important shit. But for that to be over a year, I mean, this is bits and pieces. So I can guarantee you that, in my opinion, there's a lot more that was said. This is probably just the bigger name.
One of the guys, Mike Gotti, went to jail. Ask him if he thinks Junior's a rat.
Yeah.
Right? He went to jail. He got a lot of time. Tough guy. You know, I was never really friends with him. I know him. He knows me. He went to jail. He's a rat. Little Joey ended up cooperating, D'Angelo, because of Junior meeting with the government. He was meeting with the government during the cases without the lawyers. So everybody knows what he was doing. You know, he's only fooling the general public that don't understand the life. But he ain't fooling street guys or anybody else. But the thing is, I don't care that he ratted. I would eat dinner with him tomorrow, to be honest with you. If he stopped and said, okay, we ate each other one time, it's over, like I do with everybody else. That was back then, we move forward. He's the only guy who can't move forward.
I hope that happens, man.
It'll never happen with him.
I know.
It'll never happen. He's not me. He's not, listen, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. He doesn't act like a man. So if you act like a man like most people, they shake hands and move on. Because you're not a gangster anymore. Whatever we were going to do to each other happened back then, it's over. Your father's gone. You fucked up. You can never take back that. If you really wanted to take that back, you can't. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're sick to your stomach. You can't live to yourself because you did it. Oh, that was another thing he said. I'm really sick about it. I had a weak moment. That was one of his things he said on his own YouTube. I had a weak moment. You didn't have a weak moment. You ratted. It happened. And that's it. You chose the path you chose. And that's it. But then when you're doing stupid projects about other people and you're trying to act like you're not there, that's why I said I think his sister Vicky's not stupid. She's a little smarter. She knows what he did. So she doesn't do too much talking about this. But if he can, I'll eat this glass bottle. If his uncle, whether I like Jeannie Gotti or not, who just did 50 years, right, says he ain't a rat, I want to hear his uncle say it. If he does, I'll eat that glass bottle. I says, because that's his own uncle, and his uncle tells everybody he's a rat. So you're not going to change that by pointing at me. So it doesn't matter what I did, right? And he's a first-generation gangster, by the way. His family's not from Sicily. They've never been involved in a mob. The father was a gangster, and then his father put him into life. So it's not like this guy was born into this. So, you know, he didn't break anything except for, you know, If his father was around, he would kill him.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. You know, you were in the Gambino crime family,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so now you got a guy willing to buy a jail, or was going to buy a jail. He's cooperating. You're saying the people, you know, the guys in the Gambino, they know this paperwork. I mean, there's fucking name after name after name in there, you know, and
that's
some
open
of
murder. Open murder.
yeah, and it's not a closed case, so they, as you said a little bit ago, that they can reopen it. How is it just the name that nobody's taking a shot at him?
I don't get it, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm not advocating for anybody to do anything.
No, absolutely not.
But here's what I'm advocating. I'm not advocating. Here's what I'm saying. How did nobody just knock on his door, right? 3 wannabe new guys. They send him there and say, you might get pinched, because he calls up and tell him, listen, don't open your mouth no more. That's what we're going to tell you. Don't do it again. We ain't going to kill you, but we're going to hurt you. We're not going to ask you again. They don't even do that.
Why? Why do you think not? Just the name?
I don't know. I'm not
I mean,
I'm not an active guy. If this was in my day, that guy is not going to
We
be
wouldn't be
talking.
having this conversation.
No. I mean, you know, so, and if I was the rest of the mob and they see what he's done to me, and if you want me to shut up, then, you know, obviously you got to take care of your own business first. I'm not Italian. I'm not made. I'm not a boss. I'm not John Gotti's son. So when people say, aren't you worried? Well, they ain't doing nothing to those guys. Why am I going to worry?
Yes, yeah.
And I'll worry
Yeah,
about that
fine.
after I see them do something to somebody else. And then maybe I'll follow suit and shut up. But I'm not talking about other guys, really, actually. I'm not saying anything. I'm not talking. All I talk is to kids to stay away from this life just because of all this, what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So I'm
and-
going to end up saying what I always say. The treachery is so bad. Why would a kid want to follow this?
Look at this. You don't want to be in this. And this is the shit you got to worry about every fucking day.
And you imagine he goes on TV all over the place claiming he ain't a rat.
Right. And the sickest part of it, Mike, and I'm sure you feel the same, it's all the shit that he did for him. All the shit that you did for him. You know, you risked your life. Whether it's you getting killed, going to jail for life.
I left my kids.
You left your kids, and I'm sure these were friends of yours that he took down.
Yeah, they were. And
Okay.
and those kids, the 2 guys on there, I got a lot of respect for John Mass and Greg Mass because they're nice guys. They're hardworking guys. They were gamblers only. Tough guys with their hands, ain't killers. And he put them there like they were killers. So, you know, when people say to me, like, you know, what do you think? I mean, what are you putting these guys there for? They didn't kill nobody. They didn't try to kill nobody. They never walked around saying they killed them. He did. He bragged about it. So when people say to me, here's the problem. You tape record people. You film people. You rat on people. You try to open a prison to fucking decimate and kill people. After everything your father went through, you're doing those things. You know, I'm not saying that you got, and then you're telling everybody you're a crime fighter, and then you want to get mad at me when I go on TV or I do a show. What are you mad at me for? I wasn't here in the United States when you decided to go meet the government and rat. I was in a penitentiary in Brazil. So if somebody could tell me why you keep bothering me, because I chose to go to Brazil. I didn't go to the police and go, listen, I don't want to leave. I want to keep all my millions. I killed Georgie Grasso because John Gotti Jr. told me to. And he can't lie and say he that's not true. He bragged about it to everybody. He told his guy, Frankie Radici, who's a May guy now, he told him, he made fun of him because he said, you never did nothing. Look at A-Light. He killed this guy, shot that guy, shot. He was bragging about it. So if I was Frankie, I would have been thinking the same thing. Fuck him. What does that have to do with me? But he bragged. So when you're telling people and bragging, you know what I did for you. Everybody knows what I did for you. I didn't know Gene Fawcett from a hole in the wall or guys like him. How many guys I heard or shot or stabbed or robbed or whatever.
That you didn't even know.
Not even know.
You're just
So-
following orders.
So
right?
it doesn't matter what he has to say. At the end of the day, you ratted. I was in Brazil penitentiary. And let's go further. Even if he wants to say, no, he's lying, he ratted, he was a rat before. Okay, let's appease him. Still, what does that have to do with you ratting? You're not getting out of you ratted. It has nothing to do with me.
I know.
So how do you keep relating it to me?
This blows my mind. Yeah, I mean, he said this was
Can
a
you-
bombshell. Yeah, Mike, what's your take on all this after seeing this?
I'm shocked because I didn't even realize the date lag there. Now I'm thinking, what's in between, and what was said, you know, and what haven't they showed us, and what's out there that we don't know about.
And why do you think that nobody has said knock it off or anything.
He's insulated. He's really not really bothering with anybody, I don't think.
Well, he's not allowed to bother anybody. Nobody's allowed to stay with him. So I think they look at him as nothing. Like
He's not worth
He's a waste of time.
Yeah.
He's a rat, and that's that. And we don't want to have a Gotti or that name around us, and that's that. We don't give a shit what the idiot's doing. Basically, is it.
But then again, they're not John Alite,
Right.
who's getting attacked every fucking day. And just when I've been sitting here with you, it's fucking lyrical.
Yeah. So isn't it crazy though? The bottom line is, we can just look at it and say, okay, John, your opinion. Say, John, I don't believe you. You're a rat. Say you said that to me, and I'd say, oh, okay, Tommy, you think I'm a rat? And I say, I'm okay with that if you think that. I'm going to try to convince you. And then you say to me, I say to you, well, is John Gotti Jr. a rat then? Or he isn't? Does it make a difference what I am? And what your answer going to be?
I would say he's a rat.
Right, no matter what.
Yeah,
So
I mean-
would you say anything different?
No.
What do I got to do with what he did? It's so insane in this guy's head.
Listen, I mean, the other shit, I knew it, but after these,
This is only a little bit too. We don't have.
this is 5 pages.
But think about him tape recording people. Think about him trying to open a jail.
That fucked me
That's
up.
worse than anything. The jail.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse, that or opening up a jail.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
man.
Tape recording people open up a jail.
I don't know which one do you pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Which one's the Wheel of Fortune, John?
if he was just a regular guy, honestly, he was so close with Mikey Scars. Forget about me. Why aren't you calling him and hanging out with him again? What, you any different than he is? You were at it too.
I'll tell you what, if we put all the little triangles on the Wheel of Fortune thing that he did,
Yeah.
we got about a 99 chance of that ball hitting one of them.
Yeah,
We're
right.
going to win.
Yeah.
We win that bet, guys. We go out tonight.
But it's so insane that he's locked on me.
I don't know.
I think he's, like I said, my take is he's locked on me to divert all this.
Yeah.
So if he keeps it that way,
Maybe he likes you.
yeah, that too.
Maybe if you send him some, muscle pictures, maybe he'll calm down. If he comes after me, better. I'm just.
Listen, he's so insecure about everything. So
You know what? That's not. And so you can't say anything these days. If you say anything, you're bullying. You know what I mean? Fuck.
Yeah.
Shit, if he's bullying, I'm getting bullied the shit out of him.
Yeah. What about
They
John?
hire 200 guys
Yeah,
against me.
John-
I laugh at them, actually. Them I
Yeah.
laugh at. No matter what they say, I go back right at him because I know he's putting them up to it. So, and his sister's putting them up to it. So I don't pay attention to them. They don't even distract me because the more they talk, the more I just keep pushing this on him because I know he's just harassing me through them. So he's going to just keep playing the game he used to always do and put somebody else in front. And that Machiavelli crap don't work with me. That's why everybody says, like, hey, this guy or that guy or this guy.
Because
and
you
this
actually
other guy
read the
wants
book.
to fight you. And I laugh at it. I ignore it because I know where it's coming. And my objective is only going to be him until he stops. And when he stops, all that nonsense with the rest of them will stop because it's coming from him. He's paying them. He's doing this. He's doing that. So this is what he's doing. His job is to harass me for years for God knows why, because he's ratting. Has nothing to do with me.
I don't understand it. I can't figure it out.
Can you run through those pictures again?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't figure it out, John. I don't know. Like, why pick you?
Okay.
I just don't.
2004. Okay? We'll
Okay.
do it again so people get a timeline. That's 2005.
Where do you want to start at here?
Okay, go all the way up top. That's 2003. That's his wedding that I went to at the Helmsley Palace. That's 1989 or 90, I think.
Okay, so we'll go from the top just for the recap, right? Okay, so we got.
This is the first one is Ronnie One Arm and me, captain, who made all those statements. That's at the Chico funeral. That's me, Vinnie Gotti, John Gotti Sr.'s sister-in-law. That's Nancy Trucchio and Ronnie Trucchio. I'm christening their baby Bliss.
And we're going through all this again, so it all makes sense and it all comes together now, right? So we showed them before. Now we showed the two indictments, proffers.
That's Joe O'Kane, who was dead. That was Gotti's guy. And we're in Fort Lauderdale, me and Junior. And again, we robbed Joe O'Kane a couple times and stabbed him and then robbed him again. And Gotti didn't do anything about it. So this is us again with a couple of girls that we met in Lauderdale. I think that's the same day. That's Bobby Borriello. That was a very good friend of ours who gets killed after the Paul Castellano hit in 1991. That's Pete Gotti sitting down. That's Frankie, Tommy Sneakers, and Little Jackie. Everybody's a May guy in that picture. Frankie wasn't at the time, but later on he does. And this is my going away party. I'm going to jail. This is Pete Gotti again, and actually Fat Dom's at this also, who ends up cooperating also, who's Gotti's guy. He's there also, and another picture I got with him. He's sitting at the end of the table. This is 1991. This is in my house in South Jersey, 4 hours away from Gotti's house. Well, he's the acting boss. Frankie's there also, and that's 1991.
And he drives 4 hours to see you.
Yeah. This is me in Gotti Sr.'s house with his daughter Vicky, her husband Carmine.
This is Doug John Gotti's house.
Yes.
That passed away.
Yep.
And where are you?
That's me right
That's John right here.
Yep. And that's
Okay.
Steve.
That's an important point, I think.
Well, there's videos to this too, if anybody's interested.
And that's Victoria back here.
Yeah,
right?
well, the whole family comes out. The mother, John Gotti Sr.'s wife,
Yeah.
everybody comes out with, and there's a couple videos to this. This is John Gotti Jr., and the police are pulling us over in front of the courthouse. We're picking up John Gotti Sr. from court. And that's right before they pull us over. They think I have a gun in the back seat, but I left it at the Ravenite club, so they don't get me.
Which was John Gotti Sr.'s nightclub.
It's his
Or
social
club.
but nobody's allowed there without his permission.
Right.
And I put a couple of those on my Patreon so people could see the videos. And this is me getting pulled out, and it's shaking down the car. That's Iggy, by the way, one of the guys right there, who was a driver, also a maid guy. He was the driver. This is at John Gotti Jr.'s wedding with my ex-wife, Carol,
In which
at the
you
Helmsley
gave
Palace.
5K, which, according to the list that we saw, was at the top.
Probably the top 95% of
Yeah.
Nobody gave. A couple guys maybe gave more than me, but nobody else.
I saw 1,500, 2,500,
Yeah.
but yeah, close to the top.
Yeah.
Was that? And then this one?
This one is Steve and John and myself coming out of court, and it was all over the news in '92 when Gotti got convicted. That's Mikey's Cars Dealer and Auto, that the 302’s, where he talks about me and verifies that Gotti and them in the mid-'90s said I'll never rat. So, when he debunks any nonsense he says of changes of paperwork in '91.
Well, we just showed the paperwork.
Yeah. And
A
this
year of
is-
paperwork.
And this is his best friend and his right-hand man. So he's speaking on my behalf against his best friend.
I don't know.
That's me in 2003, right before I get pinched in Brazil in the gym. That's me on the beach in Copacabana. That's the headlines of me. It says Mafia boss, American in prison in Rio de Janeiro. I was caught by Interpol. It says the bandido stayed in Brazil since December.
And at this time, Junior is in there in a proffer.
Yes, he's proffering.
Proffer meaning cooperating.
Cooperating, yeah. This is Junior on one of the shows he did, claiming that he only ratted for a little, but we went through how many, he was there ratting for a year.
Yeah, that's one. It looks like that one's from Crime Watch.
Yeah. This was the headlines of the New York papers while I was in Brazil jails. He's on the headline, and that's the Daily News.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't write for the Daily News. I didn't
Yeah.
make this picture. I didn't do anything. It's them, when he got caught ratting. This is the New York Post that does the same thing on their headlines and saying that he tried to be a rat and it didn't work out for him. This is mine in Brazil again, in Rio de Janeiro headline in the Associated Press. The king of crime of New York was caught for drugs, homicides, and the mafia in Copacabana sending emails to friends of mine, partners. This is the Interpol picture of me when they're bringing me in.
Jacked.
So there is no changing this. All the times he said I only ratted, then Gotti also said, like we said, to reiterate, I only ratted on my enemies. I didn't mean to rat. I had a weak moment. These are all statements he made. So that's the end of that. I hope we don't have to do this anymore and he stops all this nonsense.
I hope so.
And I give my word, I don't want to do this. I want to do what I want to do is talk to kids and help kids. And I'll invite them one more time. Shake my hand, sit across the table with somebody, you or anybody else, and say, okay, let's just move on with our life and help kids. Help me help some kids. and stop this nonsense, because this is such girl
You
shit.
know, if you guys could get over it and just let it go, you could even
There's-
even do legal business.
But there's
together.
no
There's no talking to him.
because there's no sense to this.
There's no sense.
Because whatever he did has nothing to do with me. So
Yeah.
I'm not understanding how he's making sense of this. So if we can appease him and say, okay, I was ratting first. Okay. You want to say that? We can appease you. It's not true, but we'll appease you. How does that change that you ratted? It doesn't change it. And he put away a lot of guys, hundreds, because guys are copping pleas, guys are ratting, and the guys that are ratting on other guys. So it's a ripple effect, and he can say what he wants. This is why just what other mob guys killed so many guys like him that were doing this. Just like I said earlier, whether it was Whitey Bulger or whether it was Willie Boy Johnson, whether it was whoever else that was hit because it was, guys that were hit for being informants.
And like you said, it's that domino effect. 15 that we just saw, of the 5 pages, that turns to 100 in seconds.
If you knew me and him had all kinds of information against you to lock you up for 100 years, you're going to run into your lawyer and so get me a deal before these guys continue.
You're fucking right, I am.
Yeah. So
I mean, who wouldn't? You would be an idiot not to. Am I right?
I would say that's it.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Everybody got to remember what I always say: crime don't pay unless you pay with your life, and that's my motto for my show. That's anybody who wants to reach me, True John Alite, and Instagram, True John Alite, JohnAlite.com for my website, and my podcast. We know is Truths, Mafia Truths, and my Patreon. My
And
books.
you have Instagram for your YouTube. It's Mafia Truth with John Alite on Instagram. You just type that in, it comes right up.
And check out my new book. Right?
Yeah, you got
It's
the new book.
Mafia International.
Yep, just came out. That came out, what, July?
Came out about a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
If you look, you got it in Barnes Noble.
Yeah.
It's hard to get in Barnes
Yeah,
Noble.
yeah. I had my, it was a bestseller.
But you've had a bestseller. Yeah.
Gotti's Rules.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you're doing great, man.
thank you.
And then you got your trip coming up?
Yep, I'm going to Spain, and I'll start filming there in Morocco, and I got a couple series coming out, so I'm busy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this cleans things up and we get this out, the right people see it, and as you do now, any kid that's watching this that just watched Goodfellas and is laughing and whatever else, yeah, just watch it.
Yeah.
Because look what happens.
This is it, yeah.
It just takes one guy to fuck everything.
Yeah.
And when you're in that street life, it's no little I'm going to go to the county for 6 months,
Oh, you're done. These cases are life sentences. And, I love when guys say, well, I stood. You're only doing 3 or 4 or 5 years or even 10 years. But when you're looking at 30, 40, 50 years in life, it's not so easy.
No.
So, the reality hits when you're never getting out.
And it's going to hit.
It's just not worth it. I tell everybody, enjoy your life. Go to work.
Go to work. Enjoy your family. Have a good time.
Yep.
Mike, anything?
Thank you. No.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you sitting in.
Thank you,
Tom.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.